Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto falls in love with Noelle Sililva, the movie. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and also make sure to check out the author of this fanfic, Hector Flores, and support him for writing this awesome fanfic. Link is in the description. Let's start the story. Well, I have to say that to those that think my life was wonderful, you would only be half correct, for, as long as I can remember, I was born to two very loving and caring parents, had a decent home. Mom was the best cook in the entire village, at least in my opinion. I might be beast. My dad was the leader of my village. Oh, you are wondering what makes this village any different than any other. Well, everyone in the Clover Kingdom knows about the Magic Knights, the Magic King, and how these people keep people safe in the Clover Kingdom. But nobody knows that there is another group that does all the things these people never even know about. The group I am referring to are the silent protectors of the Clover Kingdom, the ninjas from the village hidden in the Clover field. My village is the village that is tasked with raising these ninjas to protect and to gather information for the previously mentioned Magic Knights and Magic King. My dad is the Cage, the toughest, most skilled ninja in the village, simply the best of the best, and if you can't tell, I am quite proud of him. The other thing that people don't know about dear old dad is he is also a massive fan of the single most disgusting book series ever written, Icha. I can honestly say that without any reservation or consideration, because I have the shame of being the godson of the very same pervert who wrote those pieces of literary garbage. If my past 5 years had any good things, it is that during my birthday I get one of these books, and I, of course, help mom light the stove by using one of the pages of said book as a means to turn on the stove. Every single day, I make the world a better place. Naruto, what are you doing, son? Hey, there's mom. I am trying to exercise. You know I have to be strong to make sure I live up to my parents' example. Just that I can't reach the weights for some reason. I heard her laugh. That is because today you are taking the day off training and coming to help me around the house. You are 5 years old, Naruto. Today is the day that we have to go visit the doctor to have your chakra reserves measured. We need to know how much chakra you got for the academy paperwork. I don't like this one bit. Most kids can use chakra to do things around the house. Sasuke can help light his mother's stove using a flame he makes using his chakra. Ino freaks me the hell out, since she can read minds, and some other kids that live near me can make wind blow or make it rain. Me, I can't do any of those things. It's really depressing that I am the only kid that doesn't get to do those neat tricks. All I know is that, as soon as I could walk for some odd reason, everyone in the village either hated my guts or ran away like they saw the devil. So I am not expecting this doctor to be extra kind to me. Let's face it, if that fox in the forest wasn't my friend, I wouldn't have any friends. I guess I can always count on Kurama. I feel like I can always go to her whenever I feel down, and she will either try to cheer me up or give me advice on how to solve my problem. As we finally got done dressing, why does mom insist on dressing this way? It doesn't matter what I wear. I swear the doctor always looks at me with this look like when he gives me a medical exam. It looks like he feels he stepped on a turd that he needs to clean on the grass. Ah, Kushina, so today is the day I told you many times before about the same result, but since our Cage asked me to do this yet again, I have no choice but to do this. Come here, you are worthless little. I mean to come here. Naruto sits on this chair. I will not hurt you too much. I did, as instructed, and sat on the chair like always, and like always he put these weird things over his eyes, and immediately poked me with a needle several times across my body. As soon as he was done I was told to sit with my mother. Sorry Kushina, like I told you, and our Cage, Minato before many times, Naruto here simply does not have any chakra, and apparently cannot generate any chakra at all. I did the point pressure test, and my glasses, as you know, have a chakra detection seal. No chakra was registered or generated. I guess it just skipped a generation. Mom for some reason looked at me with a smile, and glared at the doctor. Doctor, I was an Anbu captain, and his father is the Cage of our village. We both have more chakra than all the ninja in this village combined. How is it that according to you my son has no chakra, and cannot form chakra? That should be impossible. Well, I guess this finally hit me. The reason why people don't like me is that according to the philosophy of the Clover Kingdom, I am worthless. I have no means to grow up into a ninja, and I can never defend the Clover Kingdom, so that is why people hate me. I don't know why, but the very idea of this made me feel sad. I don't know why, but it really hurt my feelings, and I felt so miserable I couldn't stop crying. My parents must pretend to love me and be proud of me, so I don't feel bad or find out how useless I am. Even Kurama was always kind to me. Is this why? Sorry kid, but everyone in the village has a form of chakra to various amounts. Even my glasses are a form of chakra use. Didn't think this was a surprise to you. I guess I was wrong about you kid. Sorry I made you sad. I stood up on my seat and looked at him. I don't care what some weird glasses or some test says. I will prove you wrong. I will find a way to grow strong enough, and I will make the people in this village see that I am the son of the Cage. Believe it. I don't think what I said was funny, but this guy began to laugh, as I told him the best joke he had heard in a while. So I decided from that day on to help mom in everything around the house, and exercise, read, and work out like taking it easy had gone out of style. Train till I drop, then get up, and train some more. I can do things they can't imagine. Maybe I was born in the wrong village. Maybe if I have a grimoire like the people in other villages I can become a magic knight. But being the son of the honorable Hokage, that means this was impossible. Why do people hate Kurama? She was putting her fingers through my hair after I fainted yet again from my training. My sweet boy, the people are stupid. They are either jealous that you are the son of such an important man, or they fear you. Honestly, you just need to concentrate on your training. Actions speak louder than words. If you ever need anyone, you know you can always count on me. Well, my training sure does one thing, keeps me busy, while other kids go around playing. I am either reading, training or helping mom around the house. I do make a pretty nice sandwich if I do say so myself. Mom had the notion of, shall we say, be self-sufficient, and so I need to learn things that I will need to know, and be able to do for myself later. Kurama just flat out told me that was cute and all, but it did take time away from my reading and training. All in all, it was a fun diversion. I mean, even I am running out of things to read. Might as well pick up a recipe scroll or two when I pretty much went through my father's entire library. Alright, I'm exaggerating. I read about 3 pages of Icha Icha, and decided to never touch that book series ever again. I sort of agree with so many housewives when they scream the same sentiment about the book, kill it with fire. I would not actually do that since the book I was touching was Dad's. It is never nice to burn his scrolls or books, even if several of those books would be much better, as ashes. Naruto, tomorrow you enter the academy, aren't you excited? Is mom serious or is she seriously making fun of me? I can't tell. Am I happy to go to the ninja academy? On the one hand, I get access to new books, and learn new ways to train, which is always a plus. On the other hand, I dread how awful my classes will be with kids from the villagers that hate me. I tried to help an old lady with her groceries once, and you think I was a 3-headed demon. She took off running the second she saw me. I tried to help a lady find her kid. She told me I should not bother, and I tried getting this kitten that got stuck up a tree for this girl. I got scratched, bitten, and when I finally handed the kitten she took off laughing at me. Mom, is there no way I can be homeschooled? Please. I mean, you are one of the most famous Anbu of our village, and my hand is the Hokage. If anyone can train me to do everything from those classes, it's both of you. She touched my head, and put her fingers through my blonde hair, yet another reason I stand out. Son, you aren't going just to learn how to do things, or why you do these things. You need to make friends your age. You spend all the time reading, and training alone. I worry about you. Humans are social creatures, Naruto. We need to interact, and form connections to other people for our health at the very least. I know that you know this because you went through my library. And had been a month since the doctor's visit, Mom. I know it's just that no matter how hard I try, I can't make any jutsu work right. I will be an absolute embarrassment of our clan. I can't even make a simple transformation work right. And when I use transformation, I don't look like the person I want to look like. When I use the transformation jutsu, I am afraid I will make people laugh at you. And Dad. She hugged me, and told me that everything would be alright. The next morning I had a good breakfast, and decided to dress to impress, meaning I wore my best clothes. A first impression is important, and I needed to make a good first impression, especially since I am going to be stuck with these people for what appears to be the rest of my life. Why does that sound more like I am going to prison instead of school? As I finished eating breakfast, and took my dishes to the sink, I saw someone I barely see in the morning, my dad. So son, today is the first day at the academy. Be sure to pay attention in class, show proper respect to your teacher. You are an amicus, we didn't raise any class clown. I began to wash my dishes, and told Dad not to worry. I promised not to do something he wouldn't. That is when Mom told me that I should get going because I needed to arrive early, so that I can find my classroom. I could have stayed to help Mom a little more. I mean, how difficult would it be to find my classroom? I walked over to the reception, and began to look for my name on the billboard right next to the receipt desk. Let's see, and here we go to classroom 1F. Why does this feel like it is at the end of the hall? And sure enough, it was on the first floor at the very end of the hall, right next to the bathrooms. Convenient. I walked up to the door, and did, as I was taught. I knocked on the door, as politely as I could. I guess I just need to stand outside till someone actually comes to open the door. It just feels like it is taking forever for someone to actually do that. Had I not been raised to be the boy I am, I would probably kick the door open, and demand what the hell is taking so long, but I was raised to be better than that. Ah, you are here. I guess they didn't tell you since today is the first day. Today's class would start an hour early, so that the students can get to know each other. Come with me, let me introduce you to your classmates. I am your homeroom teacher. The name is Iruka Yamino. I have another teacher as my assistant. He will introduce himself to you later. The guy looks like a friendly person. That scar across his face right over his nose was unique, and he seems to care about his students. Not so bad so far. Class, I would like to introduce your classmate, Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. He didn't get the memo we sent to your parents. I wonder why. He turned to me, and smiled. Naruto, why don't you sit right over there between Sakura and Sasuke? Come on guys, hands up so that he can find his seat. If you have any questions, Sakura is also our class representative. I am sure she will be very happy to answer your questions. One hand was waving at me, and the other was just doing, as our teacher told my classmate to do, with as much interest as my godfather has about learning how to cook sweet baked snacks. She had pink hair, was wearing what I would call a rather sporty look, tight shirt, pants, and tennis. The guy that would sit next to me. Wait a second, she is actually a girl. But why is she wearing clothes that made her look like a guy? And why is a girl named Sasuke? From the black charcoal color eyes and hair, I imagine this person is an Uchiha clan member. I hope that my initial worry that Sasuke will hate my guts is wrong. Nice to meet you too. Say Sasuke, why are you dressed like that? I mean, I never met a girl that liked to dress as a boy, or even a girl who is named with a boy's name. He smacked me right across the face while blushing. That is because I am a boy, and I am just trying to practice a transformation jutsu. I didn't think I needed to explain something so basic to anyone, idiot. Don't you dare lay a hand on Sasuke. Naruto, you aren't hurt, are you? Want me to get something to make it feel better? Alright, either Sakura wants to be the center of attention, or she thinks I am so weak and pathetic that a light slap will hurt me. What a day am I having? Oh hell no, billboard brow. If anyone is getting anything for Naruto, it is me. You should be careful of Naruto. You might catch a case of stupid if you hang around her too much. I don't even know the blonde girls screaming like that, in front of their teacher no less. You stay the hell away from Naruto, you know pig. Naruto, as much as I hate it, she is right about one thing. You should not go anywhere near Ino Pig over there. She might infect you with her stupidity, and to top it off, she likes to gossip behind people's backs. Why is this happening on the first day of class? Could we stop being so disrespectful to our teacher, and could we please start today's lesson? You are both shouting like that in front of our teacher, not very respectful. Sorry for the late, instructor Yumino. He laughed, and looked at the two girls who were still glaring at each other. I rather you call me Ruka, and don't worry, today we only have some lessons about history, some biology, and 2 maths lessons. So don't worry Naruto, we will get through this material rather quickly. I know how most of my students consider these sorts of subjects to be boring. I told him that I welcome any chance to learn something new, even though I did go through every scroll in my parents' library. One girl behind me began to snicker at me. She had this puppy on her head, must be an Inuzuka clan member. Boy, aren't you the lucky guy, both beauties in our class are fighting over you, aren't you happy? I didn't even bother to look back. I know his family well, and I know her name. Kiba, never mind that you just were very rude to both ladies. You also forgot to mention the other beauties in this class. You never mentioned Tenten or Hinata. I wish they would let me spar with them. Tenten is the daughter of a Kenjutsu master, and Hinata, her gentle fist looks like something I would seriously want to learn. Hinata was blushing so much her face was tomato red. Why is she blushing? She was seated 3 rows ahead of where I am. That is when I felt someone hit my side with their elbow. You didn't mention me, Naruto. How can I forget? You know you were right. How in the world could I forget the reigning emo princess, the ice queen of our class? Sasuke Uchiha. Maybe because you are dressed like a guy. Well, today was boring. 2 girls I never met before screamed at each other all through the day, about why I should have nothing to do with each other, and the only thing Sasuke, weird name for a girl, and I could agree on is that they should pay more attention to class than bickering. My teacher Ruka, after seeing me fail for the 5th time on how to make a clone, and how to make a transformation that looked like he did, decided to tell me that after my practical skills lessons, he wanted to go and talk with my parents. Every boy's nightmare began to go through my mind, my teacher telling how awful I did to my parents. Well, in reality it would only be my mother, since dad is always busy with him having to do so much work, as the Hokage, the leader of our village, the leader that for some odd reason is so respected and loved that I am shocked that nobody actually built a statue to him. Oh wait, they did. They carved his head on the face of a mountain, just like they did for all the other past Hokage. My mother was only expecting me, but this didn't stop her from hugging me and telling me to wash up, because dinner would be ready as soon as she saw Ruka. However, she told me to sit with her. Ruka, to what do I owe the visit? Did Naruto do something in class that you need to talk with me about? Iruka was shocked that she even thought that, or at least that is what I think. He quickly began to shake his head. No, Kushina, your son, is an absolutely great student. He clearly studies ahead, and is very polite when he answers my questions. The thing is, I went through his records, and I saw that Naruto here supposedly has low levels of chakra, but I recently discovered that the doctor who took that exam was wrong. Thanks to seeing the results of when he tried to do the clone jutsu, and the transformation jutsu, I realized something. He doesn't have low chakra levels, he has absolutely the opposite. He has so much chakra that is making him control it almost impossible. As you know, I was once a censor during the last war, and I can tell you he had more chakra than you or your husband combined. So I would like to ask you if you could please teach him some chakra control exercises. I know the Uzumaki clan were very good at controlling their chakra. They would need to be, as seal masters. But if you are too busy, I will simply have Naruto here stay after class, and I can teach him some basic exercises. For some odd reason, my mother was extremely happy, so happy she was crying. It was, as we always thought, the doctor must have made a mistake. That is why your father would not believe the results. Iruka, don't worry, I will help my son learn to control his chakra. I had the same problem when I was a little girl. You should not worry, once I tell Minato, I am sure he will help our son just like he helped me back then. The thing I find strange is why did your colleague decide to give my poor son such trouble? It was almost like he wanted to fail. I didn't tell mom about my practical skills lesson. In fact, everyone thought that I barely passed, which for some reason made everyone around me relax. Mizuki did his best to make my tasks during that lesson nearly impossible. He first set me up against Kiba and Sasuke in a sparring match, but with Kiba having her partner, that made it 3 against 1. I could have tried using what little I know of the Uzumaki and Namika's fighting styles, but if I did that, I would end up hurting both Kiba and Sasuke. I didn't want to do that, so the best I could do was fight for a draw. During the thrown weapons part, Mizuki used hidden cables to move the targets. Had I not been able to see them, I would never guess which way he was planning to pull them, and I would have failed to hit any of them. In truth, I did fail about 5 out of the 10 targets, since I had to use those 5 to cut the wires. Once the wires were cut, I was able to hit the targets with my 5 remaining blades. I didn't have to activate my eyes even once. Why would Mizuki set me up to harm 2 noble clan members, and cause the other exam to be so hard I would need to activate my eyes? How did my mother know about all this? She looked at me smiling. You sure did your best for those 2 girls. Minato will be happy that you did that. Guess our old decision was not such a big mistake as we once thought. Now the question is, are you staying over for dinner? I think my daughter might be happy to spend some time with her old friend. He began to laugh. As much as I would like to see my old friend dog again, I think that I better go home, unless her significant other gets angry with me. I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of the green beast, now would I? Urika left, and left me with questions. Mom, how come you knew what happened during my lesson? She laughed, and told me to help her set the table. Being pregnant is not easy on a woman, and I could use the practice of helping a lady around the house. Well, that was almost insulting. I always help mom around the house, who else will? Dad is always busy, and Kakashi is always reading that book she likes so much. As I began to set the plates, I saw my mom smile. To answer your question, it was quite easy. I sent a shadow clone after you. She watched you the entire day, including the practical skills lesson. I also saw you using my family fighting style with some of your dads. I got to say, son, you impress me. Not many people can mix the 2 fighting styles like that. How about after dinner you come, and I can teach you some other moves? That should make it easier for you to impress those 2. Never would have guessed my little boy was trying to take it easy on those 2 girls. Minato will be very impressed once I tell him. You did the right thing, you should be nice to them. Now, mom was making me worried. When she talks like that I can almost feel like there is something she is not telling me. So mom, what are we having for dinner? I didn't want to say what I thought it was, but the smell coming from the kitchen was telling me it was one of her favorites, one that we tend to have every other day, miso ramen. As I placed the final plate, I looked at mom, and she was getting more and more anxious. Never a good sign. Apparently dad is taking longer than expected. Mom, please calm down. Getting angry is bad for you. Please, sit down. I will get you some juice. She did sit down on the sofa, and finally dad arrived, in his formal uniform no less. Well, that explains it. He had a very important meeting. My mother got up from her seat, and she hugged dad as soon as she entered the room. Well, at least she calmed down. Naruto Uzumaki, stop playing with that dartboard, and got down here. Dinner is getting cold. I did not spend hours in the kitchen for you to let it go to waste. Alright, I was wrong. She did not calm down. She just looked calm, and probably caused me, and my dad some hearing damage. Here I was thinking that Irika's big hat jutsu was loud. I will never make another comment about that jutsu for as long as I live. He is an extremely soft-spoken person by comparison. Mom, I am not playing around. I am practicing for my first practical lessons class. I am trying to be ready to hit all my targets. And yes bro, even I know that you only hit 5 of them. What is the matter? Were you feeling faint, not enough sleep? I wanted to tell her the truth, but I couldn't ruin the surprise. She has an entire year to have dreams and expectations. Why ruin that for her? Well, I am sorry Kushina, but I had a meeting with representatives of Sunagaku again. They insist that they want to meet Naruto personally, before they completely agree to the negotiations. It took me some time to convince the representative that our son has to attend classes in the academy. Why are you so excited Kushina? Are you feeling alright? She finally seems to calm down, as I took the food from the kitchen, and placed it on the table before I could sit down. There is no way I am going to have mom carry a large wok to the table, after she told me she was 7 months pregnant. You remember Iruka, don't you? He was in the Censor Battalion in the last war. Well, he used his unique abilities to analyze chakra in people, and guess what he found? That doctor is a crackpot. He was completely wrong. Our son has chakra. The only reason he can't do jutsu is that he has so much of it. His chakra control is completely shot because of it, like I was. Minato could hardly believe what he heard. He was in tears by the time she finished saying, "Is that all?" Oh, for crying out loud. Don't worry about me like that. I guess I can leave a shadow clone to teach Naruto some chakra control exercises when he gets home after school. We began to serve ourselves our food, and dinner was pretty calm after that, except that Naruto kept looking at me, and then away. What is wrong with my sister? I know for a fact that she seems to be fine since she has been using basic jutsu for almost 3 months now. Well, that would make it easier on me. I was planning on teaching him those exercises myself, but with our little passengers, I am getting a bit more tired as they get bigger. Wait for a second, I thought I was going to have a new brother or sister, but Dad finally looked at me with the same worried look I had. Sorry we didn't tell you, kids. The last ultrasound showed that we aren't getting one new addition to our family, we are getting two. From the images that they got with the ultrasound jutsu, they can tell that yes, they are growing well, and they are both girls. I can't believe it, my twin sister Naruto is already in trouble because she is always sneaking around trying to catch me doing my workout. I've been working out to the point of exhaustion, thinking that this would somehow awaken my chakra, and sis keeps trying to sneak and watch me train. I swear if I didn't wear weighted clothes, I would be embarrassed 7 ways into hell. So son, from tomorrow on, come straight home. Your dad's shadow clone will be here to teach you how to manage your chakra, and if you could be a deer and help me around the house, that would be great. Here I was thinking that maybe this was my chance to put a nice stare to my 2 eager fangirls. I was planning to ask them if they want to date me so much, why not get perfect grades in everything in exams, practice, and homework. Speaking of which, I don't have time to sit here. I got to do the dishes and do my homework. As I was about to take the dishes to the sink to do them, my dad grabbed me by my shoulder. And where do you think you are going? I told Dad to take the dishes to the sink since everyone was done eating, wash them, and I told him I had some homework to do. Not happening. Naruto can take care of the dishes, and your homework is just a few pages. No, you are coming with me to begin your chakra exercises. Bring that big cushion that is on the couch with you to the backyard. I guess this is the first time I and Naruto feel the same thing. We were both unhappy about this. I need to do my homework, and Naruto has never washed anything in her life. I was thinking, as I grabbed the cushion, that they should be ready for plenty of broken plates and glasses. As I walked out the door that leads to our backyard, he told me to place the cushion right at the base of the large tree we once had a swing on. Alright son, this is the basic chakra control exercise. Send chakra to the bottom of your feet, and use that chakra to stick to the surface of the tree trunk. While your feet are stuck to the tree trunk, you will walk up and down the tree several times, but remember, if you use too little or too much, you will fall off. Too little, you will not stick at all, and too much, you will be pushed off the tree. That is why the cushion. Alright, let me at least try this. I sent chakra to the bottom of my feet and began to walk on the tree trunk, not bad, till I got a few feet up, and that is when I slipped and fell headfirst into the cushion. I think I need several cushions because damn, that hurt. I was not about to let this beat me. I was going to go up that tree even if it kills me. I kept trying, and did manage to get up a little bit, and fall yet again, over and over, till finally, Dad told me that making it halfway up was good progress for today. Well, I am certainly feeling this in the morning, but at least I have a new challenge, which means I have something fun to do after class. I will master this exercise. As I got up and felt the pain from my muscles, I almost made it out the door. Somehow I didn't feel like eating breakfast. Well, Naruto and Mom put a stop to that in a hurry. They both dragged me back into the dining room, and apparently, Naruto has learned one of the most dreadful weapons in the female ninja's arsenal, the dreaded puppy eyes. They guilt-tripped me about me wasting their effort in having something for me ready for when I woke up. I am going to catch hell in class if I arrive late. What could I possibly do? Leave and hurt my mother's and sister's feelings. I would never want to hurt them if I could avoid it. Alright, Naruto would be sad, but Mom would be mad, and that is another thing I want to avoid, as if my life depended on it, because it did. As soon as I got to school, there was Sakura and Ino waiting for me at the academy's front door. Look, ladies, let's make this easier on both of you. Whoever gets perfect scores on all materials from our class gets to go out on a date with me. I mean perfect scores on written, practical, and homework. Unless you can do that much, I will not accept any requests for a date. They both looked disappointing. By doing this, you would show me how much you are willing to do to go out on a date with me. You can always have the other choice of asking someone else. Shikamaru, Choji, and Lee are still available. I went past them and went towards my class. How long did they plan to simply stand there like statues? The first bell was heard, and I was ready for another day at the academy, but in reality, I was also wanting to learn something new, anything new. For some odd reason, my hunger for knowledge had become even stronger. The class was about ninjutsu, history, and economics. Too bad for him, I read all my parents' old notes, and so I was quick to answer every question that he asked, and I mean every single question. I tried my best to answer them, as best I could. I was not about to make this too easy for them. They want a date, they better earn it. The practical skills lesson was pretty much a repeat of the previous day, targets that were set up in order for Mizuki to control them, and try, and make me fail. Sparring match against 2 students, instead of the normal 1-to-1, and last, but certainly not least, making me run 10 laps around, because today I actually only managed to hit 4 of the targets. Mizuki had more wires than before, so by the time I got done cutting the wires, I only had 4 shurikens left. Well, he expected me to fail. I will not allow his actions to ruin the good name of my father or mother. I had a feeling that someone had ordered him to do just that. As the day was over, Sakura and Ino actually did their homework, but since I answered all the questions they didn't manage to get top class grade for participation. That means I am free to do my training, and they didn't earn the right to ask me out on a date. You want something bad enough, you better try your best and earn it, advice my mother gave me. So if you want something, you do your best to earn it. Something that is easily obtained is easily lost, and you will never appreciate it as much as when you had to put effort into obtaining it. Let's face it, the entire attempt in getting Sakura and Ino to compete against each other, so they leave me alone, only came back to bite me in the rear, and Kurama just giggles every time I mention it like it is the funniest thing she has heard. They actually took what I told them to heart, and they were trying to outdo each other in everything. When I say in everything I mean everything, from who gets to school earliest, to who answers the most questions Haruka asked. I think at some point they would end up breaking a bone or two in their sparring matches. Sasuke has been avoiding me like I got a plague, and Kiba just jumps at the chance to be paired with me to spar. Damn it, I said I wanted to spar with Hinata, so that I could learn more of the gentle fist. There are no books on that fighting style, and there is no better person to spar using a blade than Tenten. To top it off I got hours of chakra training with the shadow clone of my dad, and hours in learning about Uzumaki ceiling theory. At the end of each day after eating dinner and taking a bath I am crawling into my bed. I don't even remember placing my head on the pillow before I am off to meet with Kurama, who if you think my training ends when I go to sleep, guess again. Kurama has been teaching me elemental techniques every single night. Those lessons have been torture. I know Kurama is a vixen, and I know she can be sweet and supportive, but why in the burning hells does she have to turn into her human form, wearing something not even swimsuit models would consider decent, and teaching me about elemental manipulation techniques? All the while, I am fighting the urge to stare at the barely covered mounds that are her up high. Naruto pays attention. You can't lose focus when manipulating fire. Concentrate. Fire can be the warmth of family or the fires of doom. You need to focus to be able to control the temperature with your will, and that is no easy task. Damn it, she says this wearing a swimsuit that has less cloth than my pillowcase, and you want me to focus wearing that. Oh, come on Kurama, at least turn back into your spirit fox form. I can barely concentrate with you sitting like that wearing that swimsuit. You want to show off your lovely figure, you did, you are beautiful, but why dress in something you make among think indecent things? She laughed. I swear she is having fun doing this. Yes, I am having fun, and no, this is not simply for you to admire my body. It is also to train you focus. You need to learn to avoid such obvious distractions, to sharpen your focus to a sword's edge. But I thank you for the compliment, all the same, that was rather sweet of you. Damn it, is she trying to make me faint out of sheer embarrassment? Focus on your chakra, on the fire. Focus on controlling the chakra till it becomes the very element that I want to use. Focus away from the scantily dressed vixen, with her voluptuous tits, tight waist, and nice hips, not to mention silky hair of her 9 tails, and long shapely legs. Damn it, I need to focus on the chakra, and not the vixen. Yes, Kurama, you say that, but this is not easy. She just said after some giggles nothing easy is worth having. I may not even be 10 years old, but I swear that if she is going to do this to me when I become a teenager, I am liable to say to hell with the training, and just screw the ever-loving daylights out of this vixen. That finally made her stop laughing or giggling, since she was blushing 3 shades of red. Focus on the manipulation of chakra. Focus, damn it, focus the fire element. This was happening to me each night when I went to bed, and when I finally got up each day, I felt sore. I swear my chakra network is aching with each step I take getting out of bed. Days became weeks, and weeks become months. Kurama used her sex appeal as a tool to train my elemental manipulation technique each and every night, and Dad taught me chakra control like he is expecting me to go straight into a war. Mom was no help since she taught me about things needed during her pregnancy, and I ended up helping her in the kitchen, and doing chores since being pregnant tired her out. The day finally came when my siblings were going to be born, and you have no idea how happy I was waiting in the waiting room, as far away from Mom as possible during the time she was giving birth. She was screaming things I don't even think Kurama did not find scary. 8 hours of having Naruto ask me what I thought we were getting, as our siblings, and in the end, it turns out the dad and I were the only men in our family. Twin sisters. Naruto was giggling like she found this hilarious, and I was just asking why me. That was the day Nenma and Mina were born, and this added another thing the mother apparently thought was necessary for me to learn how to take care of a baby, 2 babies to be precise. According to her, taking care of the house, and then teaching me about sealing was exhausting, never mind the fact that she had to take time to milk herself, and fill bottles for Nenma and Mina. The only thing I am sort of grateful is that she didn't tell me I had helped her do that. That would be embarrassing in a few ways. Dad, however, was not exactly sitting and watching me take care of my 2 baby sister. The chakra training continued, and thanks to me being able to do a single shadow clone, my training became quicker. It seems any memories the clones acquired the user would also receive them when the clone vanished. That is when that night I asked my father why he didn't use the shadow clones to take care of the paperwork. For a second there he just sat on a chair right in front of his dinner with his mouth open in shock. That is when he stabbed himself so hard that I think our neighbors heard. Why didn't I think of that? I could have been helping your mom and my kids more if I had done that. Thank you for reminding me, Naruto. I honestly didn't know if this was an attempt of my father to boost my confidence in myself, or did he honestly didn't know if the memory sharing feature of the shadow clone technique. I honestly don't need compliments to raise my self-confidence. I need to do better each day, to improve, and train harder, and my actions and results are the only thing I need to prove my abilities, and that will make me confident about myself. I know however Dad is just trying to be nice, so I better keep this to myself, so as to not hurt my father's feelings or make my mother angry if I am rude. Naruto is rude enough for both of us. I don't need to be the black sheep of our family, since she pretty much has that covered by the way she was such a tomboy. I think she and Sasuke could actually be good friends. Well son, you seem to be a lot more relaxed than I figured you would be. You got your first final exams for this year in a couple of days. Are you sure you will do alright? I heard that you went out on dates with 2 girls in your class. Sakura's mother is a member of the council, and Ino's father is a member of the interrogation squad of our village. I heard from both of them. How come you never told us about it? I looked at my mom and couldn't help but to feel annoyed at her bringing this up at the dinner table. I could tell her because I didn't like gossip, which I don't, but I know better than to avoid answering my mother's question. She will not relent until she knows what she wants to know. Actually, I made a promise that if they put in the effort and win with better grades in a competition between them, I would go out on a date with the winner. Sakura managed to beat Ino in quizzes, but Ino managed to beat her in chakra control tests. So I ended up going on a date with both of them, nothing that you should be concerned about. I was just spending time with 2 friends. Naruto began to laugh and looked at me. My little sister can be quite sinister when she wants to be, especially when she gives me the look she is doing right now. You say that, but you should have heard the way those 2 were talking after you left to walk towards home. They were both saying that each believed that they were one step closer to becoming your bride. You think it was spending time with friends, but it is obvious those 2 didn't think it was so casual. Naruto. Why is my sister making fun of me right now? I will never figure her out. She always is leaving me to do all the work and helping mom with Nenma and Mina. Because of this, I know more about taking care of a baby, cooking, and even changing a diaper than she does. Well, all I am concerned about is that I still think Instructor Mizuki is trying to fail me for some reason. Instead of worrying about my romantic life, shouldn't you worry more about yours? That made her blush and grumble about something I couldn't quite make out. She just began to eat her food in a really bad mood. Thanks to all this time either focusing on my studies, training with Dad or training with Kurama, I never had enough time to figure out why Sasuke, who obviously is a girl, dresses like a boy. I asked Itachi once, and he just said his sister was simply weird like that, and I should concentrate more on my skills rather on the bizarre behavior of one of my classmates. For some odd reason, Itachi was being way too defensive about me asking about Sasuke. It was almost like he was keeping a secret from me. The training from Dad became harder and harder. The more of the exercises I master, the harder the training became. I have used shadow clones so many times I can make them now without even having to use a hand sign or even think about it. I can make 20 of them and still not feel the drain. I use them all to do chakra control exercises. Most would think I am complaining, but I like it like this. It would be 1,000 times worse if the training was boring me so much I have a hard time staying awake. All in all, I am happy, and Kurama is doing things that would make a saint blush. She has gone from wearing revealing clothes to wearing alluring underwear, to the last few nights hugging me while wearing nothing at all. All the while she keeps telling me to continue to focus on manipulating an element. Fire and wind is pretty much second nature to me. I am getting used to water and lightning. Give me a bit of trouble, but with enough time I will get all these to the level of control that I have with fire. But earth is my least favorite, and it is all because to use earth techniques some of them come out of my mouth, and that always leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I was top student of the year, and for some reason Sasuke didn't look that happy. Kiba was actually laughing her head off, as they called me Rookie of the Year. Sakura, Hinata, Ino, and Tenten were now fighting at the competition to determine who will go out with me, which by some odd reason, did improve their skills immensely, as intended, but it upset Sasuke enough that she glared at them. Son, you have the chakra control of a jounin, why do you still want to improve even more? I looked at my father, and couldn't help but to shake my head. I think the reason should be pretty much obvious. I am competitive, but that is not the only reason why. I could say that this is a perfect excuse to spend time with him, but let's face it, I will rather be honest. Dad, like a ninja I may end up in a situation where having every ounce of chakra will be very important, so wasting it is something I think I should prevent, so I train. I wouldn't want to one day cause my entire team to die, simply because I wasted too much chakra and was not able to save them. Also, the better control, the easier it will be for me to learn both of the techniques you invented. He began to laugh. That is true, the Rasengan requires quite a bit of chakra control to both use and learn. The flight of the thunder god not so much. In fact, your mother's training on seal theory and making seals is more important for that one, since the technique requires for the seal of the technique to be adjusted to match your chakra network. I got to say, son, most kids want to spend time fooling around or having fun at your age, but you are spending most of your free time training like your life depended on it. I told him my life, as a ninja even now, was constantly under possible harm, so yes, I do train like my life depends on it, because it does. Come on dad, I do go out sometimes, you know. I took Sakura to that nice picnic on the park, and I took Ino out to pick some new flowers her family could plant from the nearby forest. I helped tutor Naruto, and I also am helping mom with Mina and Enma. I am actually praying that one day they will learn to use the potty, because those diapers could cause an Inizuka dog to keel over. He laughed. Never mind that one day you will have kids of your own. Trust me, you will not mind as much when you do. You like tough training, right? Well, taking care of your baby sisters is tough training, so don't complain about it. The second year starter, and it seems Hinata and Tenten were no longer pulling their punches, and I mean that it is quite obvious. The previous year they had a tough time fighting against Sakura and Ino. This year in the first spar, they both sent Sakura and Ino flying off the designated sparring ring, and they were declared winners in less than 1 minute. It seems I am going to take Hinata and Tenten each on a date, so I thought of it while I tried my best to evade every single punch Kippa and her partner were trying to hit me with. I think something that is made by me is much more precious than something that is simply bought. But the thing is, I've been secretly learning how to make ramen at Ichiraku for over a year when others were not looking. I initially wanted to learn to cook something for mom's birthday, but I never did master all the necessary skills in time. I did by the end of the year, but it was too late. I guess Tucci and Ayam will help me cook something for Hinata. I know she will enjoy the taste of the ramen I learned to cook. The gift for Tenten is the one that is giving me the most problems. She likes weapons, and I mean she practically carries an armory in her storage scroll. So when I say she likes weapons, she quite literally loves them. With her folks owning every blacksmith shop and weapon shop in the entire village, it is quite easy to see where that love of weapons came from. I guess I will need to ask her folks to help me make my gift for Tenten. I decided to use the transformation technique and went to the home of Tenten's family. I knocked on the door and was met by a beautiful lady. She sort of reminds me of Tenten. Sorry ma'am, I am looking for the home of my classmate Tenten. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Sorry to come here uninvited, but I need the help of her father and her mother to make a little surprise gift for their daughter. She laughed and pulled me into the house. Well, I guess this is her mother. She too carried the sort of storage scroll that Tenten likes. Aren't you nice, wanting to give my little girl a surprise gift? So tell me young man, what exactly are you trying to make for my little girl? My name is Shigyokasaka Mizushina, I am Tenten's mother. My husband is currently working in the forge in the back of this house, so tell me what sort of thing are you planning to make for my daughter? A kunai maybe, a whirlwind shuriken possibly. I need to know what to teach you to make it, you see. I looked at the weapons around, and saw one that caught my eye. It was a sword, and it had this nice long chain from the hilt. Actually man, I was planning to make her a sword, but seeing that sword made me remember an ancient weapon that I once read about. It should be great with her close quarter techniques. I believe it is called a kusarigama, a chain sickle. If you think that is too much, then a katana would also be a good choice. She laughed and looked at me. Kusarigama is a very traditional ninja weapon, and I do agree it would complement our family's style of taijutsu, but I am currently teaching her our kenjutsu style, so a sword would be a much better choice. Don't you think so, honey? A rather big burly man appeared right behind me and placed his hand on my shoulder. I felt so small I felt like I was a newborn, and his hand felt like they could take the rust off a blade just by rubbing it. I am Ryoshio Sakaki Mizushima. Your voice has quite a bit of volume. I heard every word you and my wife spoke about. I will teach you how to make the chain sickle to teach you basic weapon forging techniques, and once you make one that is good enough, I will help you make the katana that you wish to give to my little girl. Don't worry young man, we will keep this effort secret. Well, the efforts were educational, to say the least. No wonder Tenten loves weapons, as much as she does. Her entire family makes them. It was like finding Ayam loves the taste of ramen after finding that Tucci is her father. The chain sickle turned out to be a piece that at first I thought would be easy to make, but, as he taught me how to make it, I realized how wrong I was. Each piece of it had to be made meticulously, every part was a lesson on weapon forging, and every time I made a mistake I had to start all over again. No excuses were accepted. Each part had to be perfect. I must have made each part at least a dozen times before I managed to put the entire thing together, and I can't tell you how proud I was when I saw the result. The thing I didn't expect was that I got to keep it. Leo said that I should keep it, as a memento of my lessons. Compared to the chain sickle, the katana was a whole different set of lessons. Everything from how to fold metal to the proper, was to get out impurities in metals. But compared to the links of the chain on the chain sickle, this was a lot easier. I finished the sword, and even Shigure was smiling, as she gave the sword a swing against a bamboo target post. The sword cut through it like a hot knife through butter. I just hope that she likes how it looks. I made the hilt have a flower design, and the blade with the design of her favorite flower, and her name on it. Leo asked me why would I do that. I told him since it was a gift I was making I thought 1010 would appreciate the personal touch. Shugyo laughed, and told her husband that at least his student understood women better than her husband did at my age, which made Leo laugh. Somehow I can sense that they may appear like they argue all the time, but I do think they love each other very much. Stating the obvious, Naruto, of course, they love each other very much, they are mates, just like we are. It would be strange if not bizarre for them to be mates, and while hating each other's guts. I do have to say the touches on that gift do look nice. Just what I have come to expect from you, my beloved mate. I keep telling her that I am too young to be considered anyone's mate, but she only tells me that to her. It was perfectly fine for a person my age to be married once upon a time. Honestly, the way she displays herself during our lessons make it very hard to concentrate. But then again, I guess she did mention that was the point, or maybe she is trying to tell me something else. As I walked over to my home, I knew that there was something I was forgetting. I know Naruto has been in a sour mood ever since I began to cook ramen at Ichiraku to practice for the many lessons I've been having on weapon maintenance and forging with my friend's parents. I, of course, told her that since we are going to be ninjas, we should know how our weapons and armor are made and be able to repair them. That made mom nod her head and told me that was something quite impressive for someone in the second year of the junior academy. Don't forget son, we are having some visits later from Tsunade and her daughters. She is helping me prepare the house for your sister's birthday party. Damn it, I knew I forgot about something. That is right, tomorrow is the birthday of Naruto. I've been so busy lately it was something I completely forgot. Guess this is the reason why Naruto was in such a foul mood, and since the party is tomorrow that doesn't exactly give me a lot of time to buy or even make a gift. At best, I can think of would be a pin for her hair. Who knew my lessons at the forge would be useful for other things, besides making armor, weapons, and tools. The pin was in the shape of her favorite flower, and I probably had tougher time making that one pin than what I had making my chain sickle, and yes I said mine since it was given to me by Leo, as a gift for completing the lessons he was teaching me. He said something rather funny when I left his home. He said that if I didn't make it be a ninja, I could always work in his family's forge, as a blacksmith. That is some real praise coming from a guy who is known in the elemental nations, as one of the most skilled blacksmiths ever known, but I cannot fail, no matter what. This would cause shame to fall on my family, and make mother and father sad. I will honor my parents, and I will do my best to be the kind of child they can be proud of. I might not succeed, but I will do my best. As I went inside our home I saw 3 people seated on the living room, one of the armchairs and sofa, 3 girls that looked to be at least a couple of years older than me, and who can mistake the person sitting on the armchair. Everyone knows of the best medical ninja in the elementals nations, Tsunade Senju, and not always because of her skills. Some know her because he has a figure that clearly defied gravity. Those were some of the biggest updates I had ever seen, and I took lessons from a naked demon fox. Sorry I was a late mother, I just finished my lessons for today. I hope you and your guests will forgive me for intruding on your conversation. I was about to walk away when I felt the previously 3 girls rush and hug me from behind. Damn it, they are not wearing bras. That is so mean of you, Naru. Don't tell me you forgot about us, and so soon too. You know me, I am Suna, and my sisters, Anna and Jira. Oh come on Naru, we used to play together when we were kids. Mom, I think you should examine Naru. He doesn't seem to remember us, and we were some of his closest childhood friends. There must be something terribly wrong with him. I heard their mother laugh, and she walked in front of them, and began to try and get them to stop hugging me like that. Girls, you can't really blame him. He was a baby when you guys played with him, and you 3 have been so busy in the academy you never visit him or his family. Please forgive my daughters, they simply were happy to see you again. What a strapping young man you become, and here I thought they were kidding when they told me their secret wish is that when you become genin, they want you to be the first person they make love with. Why did she have to say something like that, and just flat out say it? I have never been more embarrassed in my entire life. You know Kushina, you are right, Naru is just adorable when he blushes like that. Why, I could eat him up. That is when mom walked towards me. So son, are you done making your sister surprise? Or do you want me to get some of the blacksmiths of our village to help you? I told her that I was ready for Naruto's birthday, and oh while I do appreciate the offer, I wanted to make this with my own hands. Mom, I do still think ninjas need to learn some basic weapon and gear maintenance. Did you have a blacksmith and forge a way out there in that hellish land of scorching hot days and cold nights? What do you call that infernal place? Oh that is right, it is the deserts of the Spade Kingdom. How in the world could I forget about it? Naruto dedicated an entire history lesson about it. Mom pretends to laugh, and I mean pretends, and she looked at me. No, I didn't have that during the war where I married you, father, and we didn't have much time to fix our weapons, since we were constantly either on guard duty or in combat. But son, you also forgot to mention that your father has been trying very hard for you to notice a certain Tamarinar, the daughter of the Kazakij. I asked her, is it too late to tell dad I hate arranged marriages? Tsunade looked at me, and began to laugh, as she looked at the faces of her 3 daughters of sheer shock and disbelief. I guess they are as surprised about my dad going behind my back, and trying to get me engaged to the daughter of another cage, which begs the questions, how many of the cage have daughters, and how many of them is my dad trying to get me to marry? Well, it seems you hate the notion, as much as my 3 little girls. But seriously kids, do you think any of you would even exist if the concept of political marriages didn't exist? Kushina here may not say it, but your uncle, my younger brother Nawaki, my cousin Kushina, and myself here, are the granddaughters and grandson of a cage ourselves, and Minato your father is the adopted son of the 3rd Hokage. Do you think I was given much of a choice with the guy I married? I mean Jireja was in my genin squad, and he was as much of a pervert then, as he is now. I got sick and tired of him cheating on me, and finally told him where to shove his wedding band. And yes girls, that is the actual reason why I used to drink so much, and yes that is why your dad and I got a divorce. I was not expecting this when this conversation about a gift would lead us to the discussion on the effects of marital infidelity, and the practical uses of a political marriage. So what you are practically telling me is that my father went to all the other cage, and he made a marriage contract between me and the daughters of those cage. Why can't I just have one wife, and why do I need to have a harem? Mom looked at me with a very serious look on her face. My grandfather the 1st Hokage wrote a law that states that when a noble clan has diminished in population to the point it becomes in danger of dying out, the last surviving member of that clan must marry multiple spouses in order to promote births and secure that clan's survival. The Clan Restoration Act, or CRA, has been in effect since the founding of Konohagakure. You are considered by many to be the last member of the Senju the Kitsune clan, the Hyuga the Uchiha the Uzumaki, and Namikaze clans in our village, so you, and your uncle my cousin Nawaki do fall under the CRA, and son, the harem is not as horrible for the women as you think. It is not like the way you think. You are not hurting their feelings, or making them suffer. In fact a harem is a wonderful thing for the women in it. They have more people to help around the house, and with more babies, that is always something that will be very much needed. It also keeps variety in the bedroom, which keeps the husband from having the need to cheat, not to mention that let's face it, properly raising and taking care of everything that needs to be done in a home can be quite exhausting, and unless you never want to be intimate with your wife, I would consider it, cause she will be too tired to even spend any time with you in private, if you get my meaning. I only had one question. Don't you think this lecture is a little bit inappropriate to have in front of kids our age? Mom simply smiled and said the sooner we'll learn about the pros and cons of the birds and the bees, the better. It saves us all a lot of pain and hardships from making mistakes while we learn about it on our own. Well, the cake looks delicious, as long as you don't know it was made by Orochimaru. The decorations actually are fun, whimsical, the entire fairyland look, and over-the-top cuteness is something I am sure Naruto will absolutely adore. Again, unless you realize all these decorations were selected and put up by my guy. There was plenty to drink, all looked quite tasty, and even healthy, but again you never expect this from Jiraiya, who is the man who is reported the winner of the local bar's champion on holdout drinking. This man drank everyone, including the bartender under the table. Guess his divorce really hit him harder than most people realize. I swear to the sage of the 6 paths I will murder the first idiot that tells me I have to dress in a princess costume. I swear it, they will hear this person's bloody screams all the way to Sunagakure when I get done with him. Who am I kidding? More than likely Naruto will ask me, as a birthday favor, and I will more than likely end up in the pink dress and wig that she more than likely already picked out for me. Why is it that I never can simply refuse her requests at her birthday or on yearly holidays? Well, I wonder if Sasuke will bother coming at all. Mikoto, her mother, sure, will come if only to spend time with her childhood friend and to watch the kids have fun. Kiba is not coming at all. The cake is triple chocolate, rocky fudge cake. This much chocolate could cause the entire dog population of Konoha to die. The drinks were served in glasses with flowers and rainbows painted on the surface of them, and the drinks were variations of pink lemonade and juice that looked pink. Suna, Anna, and Jir, you have to be honest with me. How serious are you that you want to sleep with me on the day I graduate from the academy high? I am asking because I might need to stock up on condoms if you are that serious about it. When they said they were as serious as their father's potential liver damage, I sort of figured that either I need to pick up fishing or ask for a couple of packs of condoms when I take my final exam, because somehow I don't think these 3 are going to give me much of a choice in the matter. Well, the party was nice, the music was fun, the drinks were tasty, and there was more than enough cake for everyone. Naruto actually looks kind of nice, considering she always dresses like a boy most of the time. It is actually nice for her to dress as a girl, even if it was only for her birthday. She was actually only unhappy that for some reason Suna was sitting on my lap trying to feed me some of her cake. Anna and Jiro were just sitting right next to her birthday girl glaring daggers at Suna, and Suna was apparently having the time of her life. As the time for the presents to be opened, she, of course, opened the big ones first. One was a holster for kunai, and shuriken in her favorite color, which happens to be passion pink. The next big box was not as well received. It was a collection of first aid textbook. Apparently Tsunade is going to be teaching medical support classes in the junior academy next year, and she will enter the junior academy, so she gave her a series of textbooks as a gift. I thought it was considerate, but clearly she didn't want to see anything school related today. The next was a set of chakra weights given to her by Might Guy, and a mask by Kakashi, and finally she decided to open the smallest of the boxes, which just happens to be the gift I made for her. She insisted that she should open it while sitting on my lap. I don't know why this should be such an issue. She is my kid's sister. She sat, and I saw the hairpin, and looked at me first. She said she loves it, and out of nowhere she kissed me on my lips, and I mean this kiss was nowhere near anything close to being chaste. I think she could take the flavor of the cake I ate with her tongue, as she pretty much tasted every inch on the inside of my mouth. I could not form words after that. My own sister kissed me like this. I am not kidding. She kissed me, as you read in that trash novel that Jiraiya wrote. She ended the kiss, and hugged me screaming that she loved me. I mean why? Why would she do this to her own brother? Why would my kid sister kiss me in a way apparently some of the boys present would love to be kissed by her in the same way? The angry glares of her classmates were easy to understand, and the glares she was getting from the three daughters of Tsunade were understandable. But why was Kiba, Sasuke, Ten, and even Kiba's older sister glaring at Naruto, like she has stolen something precious from them? I just can't get over it. Why would my sister kiss me like this? I could not get this out of my head, so much so that I missed most of the party games, and it was late into the evening when mother found me. Son, I know that this is shocking, but it really shouldn't come to you, as such, as surprise. Little Naruto had a crush on you for quite some time. You know the way she acted was because she was feeling jealous, as other girls began to show interest in you. I looked at my mother, and began to shake my head. Mom, you are talking about my kid's sister. Why would she feel this about someone who is literally her blood relative? Mom began to laugh. Son, many nobles' clans, in fact, encourage people to marry within the clan to strengthen their blood trade abilities. The Uchiha, Hyuga, Senju, and even our clan the Uzumaki did this, not to mention other clans I didn't even mention. Why it would be no problem if you Naruto, and even your little sisters Nenma and Mina one day ask you to marry them. If you think about it, I have even heard of things ending up causing the last surviving member of a clan to end up marrying his own mother. So instead of thinking about how this could be considered incest, why don't you think how much it would hurt your sister to deny her chance of being part of your harem? She got up and looked at me, cause you know, as I told you, son, you are under the craw. You will have a harem. It is not a matter of if, but rather when. You may not think that much of yourself, but let's face it, even I noticed how Makoto was looking at you. Well, the only good thing about the birthday party is that now Naruto at least isn't as mean as she once was. She still gets ticked off if another girl actually gets a little too close. Didn't she hear mom that the council will pretty much force me into having a harem, whether I want one or not? And I can't even relax while bathing in the open-air public bath. There's this white-haired idiot I swear who reminds me of the father of Tsuna, Anna, and Jir, but there is no way that pervert would get within 100 yards of Konoha without women giving each other warnings that he would be in the area. The number of times he has been caught peeping while they are in various forms of undress is too numerous to count. I think it is time for our family's ancient technique. I sneak behind him. Let's see, make the tiger sign with both hands, between both buttocks, and Samara-infused chakra. This sent the peeping Tom flying across the wooden barrier between the men's and women's side of the public baths. Secret finger technique. 1,000 years of death. Side effects include, but not exclude, constipation, humiliation, and embarrassment. As I heard the woman on the other side go to town on the pervert, I could not help but smile. I went back to my bath with a smile on my face, as I heard the beating the stupid pervert was getting, and hearing him beg for his pathetic life, with sweet music for a much better bath, with a pervert-free bathing area. After my bath was done, I went to dry myself and get dressed, except that this beautiful girl was waiting outside. She had the look that she was hunting something or someone. Excuse me, have you seen the pervert that came running out of the women's side of the public baths? The stinking pervert ran away before I got done with him. I looked at her, and couldn't help but smile. Nope, I just came from the men's side after I finally got to enjoy my bath, after I sent that stinking idiot out of our bathing area. I hope you, and the other ladies had a good time in beating some sense into that idiot, but sadly, I don't think he will learn, and no, I was not peeping. I actually respect women's privacy. The name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. She looked over to me, and smiled for a second. So you're him, I see. No problem, Naruto. It does make me feel a little bit better after hearing you say that, but excuse me, I still have to find that stinking pervert, and make him suffer. As she took off, I began to realize that she had a metal fan strapped to her waist, but while she was very proper, she forgot to introduce herself. Well, no point in crying over spilled milk. At least I enjoyed the music while taking a nice soak. That is when I noticed a barrel that wasn't there before. You can come out, as the godfather. The very upset girl is looking for you, but even I have to agree it is kind of strange she didn't notice the stack of oil drums shaking like that. He finally came out from hiding behind the barrels, and looked at me with this very upset look on his face. You do your godmother proud it seems. What the hell Naruto, you interrupted my research. You have any idea how much it will delay me from finishing the next book in my Icha series? I was getting some nice ideas when someone sent me flying into the women's side, and that caused me nearly getting beaten half to death by the women who I was watching. I could probably tell him that if my mother was bathing with sad women, I don't think there is a power in heaven or hell that would prevent her from neutering him. He should know that since he was her jounin instructor back in her genin days. Come to think of it, he was also the teacher of my father. I guess he got tainted by Icha before the first book was published. It is not enjoyable to see a man hiding behind a wall, violating the privacy of those very stressed ladies, and giggling like a maniac. So in case you are wondering what was my family's secret technique 1000 years of death, and in case I have to point it out, the one who sent you flying over the wall, and into a much deserved beating, was none other than me. He pretended to cry, as he heard me. Naruto, you wounded me. If you wanted to come, and look at the bathing beauties, you should have told me, and not take it out on me that I was taking the best people. You are my godson, and I could have let you enjoy the sights. It is only natural that a boy starts to develop an interest in the wonders of the female body. I looked at him, and can't honestly believe he has the nerve to even suggest such thing. Read my lips, you filthy producing bastard. I am not a stinking pervert like you. I know I should call him that because he is my godfather, and all, but I am just that angry that he thinks I need to peep at women bathing to see women without any clothes on. From what I understand, I got a bunch of women that the second that I become a genin, they are all wishing for, if not fighting each other, to get the chance to sleep with me, so I don't need to peep what is obviously so freely offered. He was taking that stand, and my dad told me, you call me a mere pervert. Men envy me, and women adore me from east to west. I am the Toad Mountain Sage, and I am no mere pervert, I am a super pervert. Yay, that really makes him a respectful member of society, and I think I see a cow flying over a rainbow. And you still wonder why Tsunade actually filed for divorce. Which in reality shouldn't be more concerned about the blonde beauty that is standing right behind you. For a second his face lost all color, and he slowly turned around, and what was shaking worse than a bunch of trees during a storm. Like I couldn't find him after he shouted like that, but for the compliment Naruto, the name is Temari Nar, the second daughter of the third Kazekage. Who knew the man I was engaged to was such a gentleman. I honestly was worried after I met you, godfather, that you could be a pervert like him, speaking of whom you are next of kin. Ha, wait, where did that stinking pervert go? We will have to get together so we get to know each other better at a later time. I got a pervert to hunt. I swear she took off, and I heard her say, be very very quiet, I am hunting a pervert, and laughing, as she went looking for my godfather. Tonight I am going to have to ask my dad during our chakra control lesson, why the daughter of the Kazekage is here. That is when a lovely young woman with shoulder-length sandy brown hair which framed her kind-looking face and indigo-colored eyes came out of the building, and also 3 of her daughters came out of the building where the public baths were. One was shaking her head and saying how shameless. She was pretty much close to my age, but she had short red flaming hair and the word love tattooed on the right side of her forehead, and one of the others had a short haircut, also sandy brown hair, but wore almost tribal looking, and the last one had long flaxen hair and emerald green eyes. You must be my future son-in-law. Could you please not hold it against my daughter that she took off like that? She has hated perverts ever since I can remember. She is very defensive of our family members. I am her mother, Kurura Nar, and these 3 are my other 3 daughters, Chiyu Kankuro and Gar. Be nice to your future brother-in-law, girls. The girls greeted me, and I looked at her still wondering why are the Kazekage's wife and his daughters all the way over in our village. Well, sorry for the actions of my perverted godfather. I hope that his actions have not soured your opinion of our village. I gather you and your daughters are here on a vacation. Kurura laughed and looked at her 3 daughters who walked over. No, actually, we came with my husband to finalize your marriage contract between you and Temari, but after such a long journey under such temperatures, we figured that we should take a bath not to make a poor impression on you and your family. I see, so she was afraid that having traveled across the desert this time of year would make her smell because of sweat. I understand completely that the high temperatures of the Suna Desert are well documented, but don't you usually travel during nighttime to avoid high temperatures? She looked at me and began nodding her head. Yes, usually we do travel during the night, but not today. You see, while my daughter Temari took off in pursuit of your godfather, it was actually her constant insistence that we get to Konoha as quickly as possible. She was simply so curious to see what kind of a person you would turn out to be. Kankuro looked at me, and then at Gar and Chiyo. She was not the only one. Had I known that Naruto was this honorable, polite, and considerate, why would I have put in a lot more effort in trying to defeat Temari? Defeat her sister? What is she talking about? Sorry, but why would you have to defeat your sister? Kurura looked at me in a rather amusing way. Actually, Naruto, the order of who marries first is determined in Suna through combat. We held a tournament between my 4 daughters, and the only 2 who would participate are Kankuro and Temari. Gara was too busy studying and practicing her sand techniques with the help of her sister Chiyo. Temari used her fan, which you probably noticed she likes to carry strapped to her back to blow away Kankuro's dolls. Kankuro might not look at it, but my 3rd eldest daughter is usually a very talented puppeteer. You know about chakra strings, don't you? Ah yes, the infamous puppeteers of Suna. They caused thousands of deaths in the last Great War. Yes, I am familiar with the use of chakra strings. I am an Uzumaki, so one of the techniques I use is chakra chains. So learning to make and use chakra strings has been a part of my chakra control lessons. Kurura looked at me with a smile, but I can see the question coming. Why do you study chakra control to such an extent? Are you still in the junior academy? Shouldn't you be spending time having fun and enjoying your childhood with your fellow classmates and friends? Why train so hard? I guess that is an obvious question. I train so that I can defend the people I care about and my village. I am a student trying to be a ninja. Duty and honor dictate everything I do. Can any of your daughters say it differently? We children of Cage, born with the duty to honor our parents and try to be better than our village's very best. Life for those not born, as we are, is much simpler, with many freedoms we do not have. Before the day I was born I had someone who helped me and cared about me. Are you so different from me, sister one? You may try to keep it hidden, but I can sense it, as easily as you can sense me, can't you? Kurura looked surprised on how I talked to Gar till Gar began to laugh. We are much alike, Brother 9, the only man who is one of us, those who have either been sacrificed or made a sacrifice. How did you become a Jinchuriki? Were you forced to be the vessel to a tail beast, or was it different with you than with all the rest of us? I looked at her and smiled. Yes, it was differently. The vixen that lives inside me came into my mind and body willingly. Nobody forces her to be with me, and to many they consider them a powerful tool or weapon. But to me, Kurama is my dearest and most precious friend, even if she considers me something much more intimate than that. Gar laughed as she heard my answer, and Kurura simply smiled. Kankura was silently watching our conversation, and Chiyo was looking at my hands for some strange reason, only looking at my hands. Yes, you are different, but I got to say that does make me feel a bit envious, that your tailed beast holds you in such high regards, and in such a tender way. I would not worry about Tamari, she knows of us, and will not judge you, as others might. I looked at them, and since they just came from the bath, I thought why not a friendly gesture. Say, why don't you all join me for a meal? I just know one of the best restaurants in the kingdom. You have not lived until you tried their food. Kurura kept on smiling, and looked at me. Actually we were also going to Ichiraku after our bath. Tamari knows to find us there in 10 minutes or so. Not surprising that you know of Ichiraku. Your mother Kushina was well known to be the champion at the last eating contest. She ate so many dishes. It is the reason they haven't held another one in over a decade. My mom ate so much that Tucci thought that if he held another eating competition he would go out of business. Then why the hell does he offer me one meal per month? I mean I didn't pay for them, and he always seems happy making the ramen we eat. I decided to go with them, as Gar and I talked about different elemental manipulation techniques, and Kankuro kept asking me if I could show her my chakra chains, as she showed me how she used her chakra strings. For some reason Chiyo was simply quiet. Maybe she was a bit shyer than Gar and Kankuro. So Naruto, you are under that accursed law, aren't you? You village's Clan Restoration Act, aren't you? To have the first thing Chiyo asked me was a legal question. I guess she is not as shy as I thought. She was just trying to word her question in such a way that leaves no room for misunderstanding. Unfortunately yes, I am, and because I am a member of quite a few clans that are really low in numbers, well that means I am not as much as under the craw, as in I am buried under it. I honestly wanted to focus on my studies and prepare for the next level of training, but it seems there are a few ladies that think my time would be better spent on something else, rather than me doing extra training. We finally reached the restaurant, and somehow the place was empty. Never in all the years of my life was this place this empty. That is until I saw Tamari waving at us. Somehow I think my idiot godfather came running in here thinking food would distract Tamari, and it ended up scaring all the customers so badly they all left. These people she managed to scare off were members of either the military police, torture and interrogation, members of Anbu, hunters from the Hunters Division, or just veteran ninja. Mental note, never, and I mean never, tick off Tamari. As she managed to scare them off, she must have been an unholy nightmare, and these are the people that deal with the worst of the human condition, and that is saying something. Like I said Naruto, Tamari would find us at Ichiraku. You might not know it, but she actually loves miso ramen, can't get enough of it. Is fate trying to conspire against me? Why do all the girls that are either engaged to me, or what to be engaged to me all love the same food, and it is the food I like too? Something tells me that they adjusted their preferences, and somehow the infamous gossip trade network reaches much larger areas than even I dreaded. Well, Kurura left, and all three of their daughters left, but not without embarrassing. Kurura and her three daughters each gave me a kiss on the cheek when they left. Why the hell did they do that? We just finished talking about me being engaged to one of her daughters, and she and three of her daughters decided to kiss me on the cheek. The universal truth is I will never understand how women think. As I left I tried to remember what the hell I was supposed to do when I somehow ended up walking towards the entrance to the main branch of the Hyuga compound, and Hinata was working out in her front yard. I really would hate to be hit by some of those punches. I was near the afternoon, so I might as well ask her while she is beating the stuffing out of those target dummies. Hey Hinata. I was wondering if you would like to eat a meal with me if you aren't too busy. I was planning to go and eat some ramen, but if you want to come along, we could talk about those stances I just saw you do, they look really interesting. She jumped, did a backflip, and was standing right next to me in a matter of seconds. Sure, I love to, I was just practicing. I got done with my morning training routine hours ago, and I am lucky since I was feeling a bit hungry, and some ramen would surely hit the spot. We walked together towards the ramen stand, and she insisted on walking arm in arm or holding hands. We ended up doing both. As we made it to Ichiraku, I told her to excuse me for a second while I asked the cook to get us some food. In reality, the second that I made it into the back of the kitchen, 4 shadow clones appear, and gave me the ramen they had been preparing from scratch, since the time I began to take my bath. Have I really gotten so used to using the shadow clone technique that they appear even without me having to make them? They agreed to take the food I prepared on their dishes, and pretend they cooked it, and I went to the table where Hinata was drinking some nice tea. So what did you have to talk about with the cook? I told her I needed to discuss when I will have my regular cooking lessons, once we start attending classes again. She looked a bit surprised. You are learning to cook? Why? That is usually a woman's job. I looked at her, and told her that there was no guarantee that my wife will never become sick or never get injured, so I felt like I should prepare in case that happens, or else me and the kids would suffer, because there was nobody else to cook for the family. Eating out was out of the question. Daily meals would simply cost too much. They placed both plates, and is it my imagination or is she upset for some reason? I, of course, thanked her, which made her blush before she went back to the kitchen. That is not something most men think about, but I guess it has to do with the fact that you are one of the last Uzumaki in the village. So Naruto, do you plan to marry one or several women? I took a bit of my ramen, and looked at her, which for some odd reason made her laugh. It is really not up to me, Hinata. I am the member of several clans with very low populations, so if anyone is under the Clan Restoration Act, it is me. The Hokage and the council will determine how many wives I will have, but do give me a choice on whether or not to marry someone, but I will have a harem whether I want one or not. She continued eating the meal. It was something that was clearly on her mind, and it was worrying her. So Hinata, any chance that I might be able to learn the basic forms of the gentle fist? She immediately began to laugh, as I asked her, was my question really that funny? I would love to teach you my family's fighting style, Naruto, but the gentle fist greatly depends on the Byakugan to be able to see pressure points in a person's chakra network. It would not be as effective without my clan's eyes. I guess she is right from a theoretical point of view, and from a practical point of view. Hinata, that may be true, but I've been watching your sparring matches, and I figure some of the actual ways you strike, block, and even counter merit some study, even without the ability of the Byakugan. If anything, it would help me during the Chunin exams one day, and be able to counter a person with similar abilities. She smiled, and for a second, and I saw a blush. Well, if you wish to learn how to fight, then why don't you spar with me more often during our practical portion of our class? You will learn a lot faster by actually trying to copy my movements that you can from simply me telling you how to fight. You seem to be able to master things faster when you actually practice rather than just listen. I've been watching you too. We both finished our bowls, and I placed my money by the side of the table. I know I made it, but I used their ingredients to do it. I am not as ungrateful as to use up their ingredients without leaving something so that they can buy them. As we walked through the streets, we ended up in the park with the cherry blossoms. I bought some dinner rolls, and we both simply enjoyed each other's company as we fed the clownfish that live in the nearby river. It seems it made Hinata relax, and feeding the fish was something she apparently enjoyed. It was late in the evening when I walked with her to her home, and I could do no less than making sure she arrived home. Niji was waiting for us by the door. She gave me a quick kiss on my cheek, and told me to thank you for a wonderful date, before taking off, and leaving me, and Niji looking at each other with this confused look on our faces. As I made it back home, I couldn't help but think that Niji was waiting for us, and not because he was concerned about Hinata's safety. Somehow I think I saw a brief moment when he looked at Hinata, and there, as some real hate in his eyes. He is a member of the branch family. I guess this has created some tension between her and her cousin. I do remember hearing him talk with other people from the clan about how weak they think Hinata is. They honestly don't have the first clue about how strong she is. If anything, the only reason she appears weak to them is simply because she doesn't want to hurt them. As I made it back home, I saw that Mom was also waiting for me to make it home. So tell me, son, what is bothering you? Am I that easy to read? I looked at her, and began to shake my head, as soon as I realized this was my mother. She knows me better than almost anyone, Kurama being the only exception. I met the wife of the Kazakage, and all 4 of her daughters. She apparently came to talk with father about finalizing the marriage contract that is between me and her second daughter, a girl named Tamari, and my godfather was peeping at the women bathing in the women's side of the open-air public bathhouse. So all in all, this was a rather stressful moment. Hinata was nice enough to have lunch with me to help me work through the stress. How was your mother? She looked at me with a smile. Well, I was helping Takashi with her new daughter. It is her first child, so she was having a bit of a hard time not knowing what she needed to do after I taught her some things. I came home to take care of Mina and Enma, but, as I did, a friend of your grandmother Mito showed up. We got to talk. It seems Aesir has been going through quite a few things since last I saw her. She apparently has a very pretty daughter, and she even joked with me that she thinks it would be a great idea if you and her youngest daughter were to get married. We talked about how we were, and how our children were doing. Nothing that you call out of the ordinary. Speaking of ordinary, you need to get ready to go. You have that date with Hinata, don't you? I asked her who told her about it. She laughed, and she told me that Tucci told her how proud he was of his student, and how much progress I made in learning how to cook. Leo apparently also talked with her about the possibility of letting him hire me as a blacksmith to work under him. So mom knows I am planning to have a second lunch date tomorrow with Hinata. Well, this shouldn't be that surprising to me considering how easy rumors and gossip spread. I told her that I better go. I need to go plan for the date, and she smiled and said that there are few things a woman hates more than her date arriving late or when her date doesn't plan for the date. Well, all in all, I have to say the date I had with Hinata was very enjoyable, and it sort of motivated her to try even harder it seems. Sakura and Ino were not expecting this from her. By the way they are looking at Hinata. We just finished today's practical lesson, and to say Hinata wiped the arena floor with both Sakura and Ino would be a vast understatement. She held nothing back at all, and the forms she actually showed me the days before the first day of class were very beneficial. Well, yes, I don't have the Byakugan. I do have some ability to deduce where the pressure points are on a person's chakra network. Kurama is a wealth of knowledge, and she is always teaching me something new, so there are no boring lessons from her. I knocked Niji out twice, Kiba once, and Sasuke fought me to a draw. The biggest surprise of the last week was when 1010 actually sent me a letter to meet at the old training grounds, where the monument for the ninja that died in the defense of our village are remembered. I initially thought it was her being proactive, and she was asking me out on a date. I was wrong. She first demanded to see the weapon I made while studying under her father. A light application of chakra to the seal on my belt made the weapon appear, and I was about ready to give it to her when she tried to strike me with a metal staff. I had to use the weapon to block and parry her strikes, and when I think she stopped, her strikes became faster and stronger. I had to use the entire weapon to first use the ball and chain on my weapon to strike at her hand, and then wrap around her neck. I pulled hard, and she came towards me till I had the blade of my scythe to her throat, and that is when she started to laugh. I guess my mother's constant praise of your abilities in the forge were not unearned. My staff is one my mother once used to defeat an entire mob of samurai, who once tried to get her to abandon the idea of marrying my father. It was made by him, as a gift. I guess history weirdly repeats itself. I put my weapon back in the seal, and got the item from the seal right next to it. Well, I actually learned quite a bit on how to make armor, weapons, and how to repair them, even learned to make tools. So to say that I am very grateful to your family 1010 should be obvious. Your father is a harsh and demanding teacher, but thanks to him I learned things that will help me most of my life. In fact, I have something for you. I initially wanted to learn to forge weapons to make you a little bracelet, or something that you could use, as a thank you gift for being such a wonderful friend. But, as I learned the basics I decided to learn more, and by the time I finished the lessons your father wanted to teach me, I made this little something for you. I honestly hope you like it. She opened the box, and I think at first she thought it was a staff, but, as soon as she got it out of the box, she realized it was a sword. The way she attacked me before made me realize that this sword was the best for her, fast and strong attacks. She looked at it. The hilt was decorated with the flower design of her favorite flower. The blade had a matching hue, and on the blade itself, there was a monogram of her favorite flower, and her name on the blade. I thought all these details would show how much effort and attention I put into this particular gift. She swung the blade a few times, and without even looking sheathed it back into the scabbard. She placed it into her own weapon storage scroll she always carried, and ran towards me, tackling me to the ground, and kissing me. I guess from her reaction she actually did like my present. You know, Naruto, if we were of age, giving a weapon you made yourself can be considered a wedding proposal in my clan. But since we are not of age, how about we spar here once every weekend? I can teach you what I know about swordsmanship, and don't worry, I will provide you with a weapon too, only I think I better ask my dad to make it. I touched the seal left of the one where my chain kunai is stored, and pulled a sword pretty much matching hers, except the hilt was traditional saddle wood, and the blade was a common base color, with no intricate designs anywhere on it. He already did. Apparently you had the same idea your mother mentioned during one of my lessons. She just saw me store it back in my belt, and kept looking at it. Guess how many storage seals are there on that belt? I told her about 64. It was made as a test when my mom was teaching me sealing arts. I had to make storage seals on leather one after another, till the surface of my belt was lined with them. Something about it she said it would give my belt a nice design, as a joke. So what do you have in the other seals? Armor, tools, emergency soldier pills, change of underwear, some food, a few bottles of water, and every copy of Icha Icha I ever found on a trash can. Well, I need something to burn to start a campfire. That is when Kurama said they were not left by mistake. More than likely my godfather left them to me in places he knew I would easily spot them. They're all autographed, and that is when I opened one right in front of 1010. Big mistake, to my idiot godson. Maybe learn to appreciate good literature. That son of a bitch, I want to beat him up, and why are you holding your sword like that, Ten? She smiled and said cause my lessons in swordsmanship were going to start earlier than I had thought. That is when out of reflex to the sword her father made and blocked, so what should be a lovely time of chatting with a friend, after I gave her a present I made, turned to be me trying to block every single attack from a very embarrassed Ten, cause her face was as red as a tomato. She just flat out said she hates perverts, and that entire book series is made for the worst kind of pervert there is. So I kept trying to keep my head, and blocking her attacks, slashes, thrusts, jumping slashes, kicks, and trip that were to try, and get me to lose balance, and slice me like a ripe tomato, jumping attacks, attacks from high, attacks from low, and even an attack where she threw her sword at me. I ended up blocking it, and not notice that she caught the blade, and was going to stab me, only to evade in the last second. 3.5 hours of this, I lost count on how many ways did Ten try and murder me, and all this with the gift I spent so much time making for her. Well, all in all, I say you learn the basics of swordsmanship in 3 hours is something I should be proud of. I wouldn't make such a bad instructor, would I, Naruto? Why are you looking at me like that? I was barely able to stand, much less stand straight. All this was her teaching me swordsmanship. I honestly thought she was trying to murder me. I was once fearing for my life, and feeling such anger at her for trying to kill me over a misunderstanding. What do you mean? How do I look different to you? She said for once the color of my eyes was purple, and had all these circles, and little tomo all over my eye. She even said it sort of reminded her of how the Sharingan looks like. I couldn't believe it, so I asked her for her pocket mirror. I know girls carry one. She handed me her compact, and I looked at my eyes. I could hardly believe it. All the times I tried to activate my eyes, all the meditation, all the times I tried to activate them from sending chakra into my eyes, all ended in failure. But here one fight with Ten, and my eyes are fully mature and active. I guess it makes sense why I could evade all those strikes so easily. Well, it looks like my eyes became active. You say you are a good instructor, but that scared the living daylights out of me. I honestly thought you wanted to kill me. She began to laugh, and told me that was the entire reason why she did that. She heard from a few Uchiha that they awoke their eyes by feeling fear, so she intended to help me, and teach me how to use a sword. Honestly, Naruto, once your eyes became active, you were in no danger at all. I guess you didn't notice how fast you became. If you know how to block an attack, then you know how to also attack in the same way you blocked. See, everything went according to plan. You learned to use a sword, and your eyes are now active. After that, we stared like normal, and I had to admit while I may hate her methods, I am grateful to her for helping me finally activate my eyes. I just need to master them using the shadow clones, and I am sure Kurama has already something planned for me, as a lesson on what my eyes can do. The other benefit was that I got to vent some of my frustrations. I still haven't gotten past the news that a friend of my own grandmother is planning to have me marry her daughter. I never even met this girl, and her mother wants me to marry her without as much as an introduction. Why do I get the feeling they are hiding something from me? Like they took this girl when she was a baby, took her to the top of the ugly tree, and dropped her, where she hit every branch on her way to the ground. If this girl is not some hideous monster, why wouldn't my mother at least show me a picture or something? But not as she just said Kakashi had a daughter, and a friend of my grandmother wants me to marry her friend's daughter. I know I should focus on my sparring match with Ten, but this really pisses me off. 3.5 hours of me barely keeping my head on my shoulders. Why did we stop? Because Ten got tired. It was the evening, and I still had to plan out my date with Hinata after school. Honestly, this is sometimes a little too much. I hope this doesn't have any negative consequences. The last thing I need is to bring shame to my family by causing a disruption in class. So son, how was your day? Well, I managed to give the sword to Ten, and apparently she wanted to test it out, and also teach me some swordsmanship by pretending to try and take my head off. Honestly, I was more shocked than anything. Mom began to laugh. She said it sounded more like a date she once had with Dad, when they were both my age. I do not need to hear that fighting sometimes leads to kissing. I mean, I am not even that comfortable with the idea of a harem. Sometimes I feel like I am blatantly cheating on one or several of them. She said it would be beneficial for the women in a harem, but let's face it, I sometimes think some pervert first thought of the idea, and ended up helping the women in it by sheer dumb luck. She taught you swordsmanship in the way of her clan, in a way that you will not forget anytime soon. Naruto, I hate to tell you this, but things that shock us or frighten us are things we never manage to truly forget, so we tend to remember every moment of those shocking or frightening events, even if we don't want to. My friend sure may not look it, but way back before she got married, she was the master of every weapon that has ever been made, and she was quite the terror on the battlefield. Honestly, I think all the other villages breathed a sigh of relief when they heard she finally got married. Her clan, being the best blacksmiths in our village, also gave her an outlet, and that is why the weapons of our village are the best. So relax son, one of your wives may be a little intense, but trust me, once they start having babies, and they start getting busy around the house, you will end up missing that intensity, so enjoy it while you can. Nothing lasts forever. Even Kurama calmed down a great deal since the days she was with my grandmother. Lecture while I help her fold the laundry. Honestly, I don't know where exactly is my dad. I hope he isn't with yet another cage trying to get me engaged to another daughter of another cage. I only met Tamari for the briefest of times, and even I can tell she is rather headstrong and impulsive. That leaves the Mizukage, the Tsuchikage, and Reikage. Well, as far as I figured, a picnic would not be such a bad idea, so the very next morning that is exactly what I prepared, and back to my storage seal. A nice picnic, just for two, no better, add some more in case Hinata is hungry. I had no idea that reading ahead would make the lessons boring. I paid attention to things that Iruka might mention that are not in the books, but he really is by the book instructor. I don't mean to insult him, just that his lesson plan could pretty much be called an index of a chapter. He doesn't miss a single notion of every single page. Mizuki is, however, the same, as always, pretends to be fair, but make challenges for me on every lesson. Today is no different, but thanks to 1010, and being able to use the passive ability of my eyes, no challenge he can come up with that I cannot beat. The date with Hinata was supposed to be a chance for me to get to know her better, a chance for the two of us to bond. The two of us. Why do I keep saying that there were supposed to be two, you ask? Because Sakura, 1010, and even Tamari showed up, that is why. If I didn't pack extra food, I would not have enough tea or rice cakes to feed them all. Tamari just flat out told me the excuse that her father needed to discuss some things to do with a joint village training effort, so they needed to remain in the village for a couple of weeks, even though I can tell this is an excuse. Okay, girls, we all know we are going to end up getting married the same guy, so here is what I propose. We try and get along, or this situation will turn horrible for all of us, and sadly, I don't think we are the only ones that will end up getting married to him. I can think of at least 3 more girls that will more than likely get added to his harem. I hate to agree with Tamari, but there are 3 other Kage who, from what Tamari said, also have daughters, and dear old dad is trying to get me engaged. I get it, political marriage to forge stronger ties between all the villages. I get it, doesn't mean I like it, but I understand. I swear if this harem is as big as I fear, I am going to want to be Hokage, just so that I can get some time away from the screams, nagging, and piles of dirty diapers. Well, it might not be as bad as that, but deep down it would be worth it if he managed to make his own wish come true, and it was not even a wish for himself. Say Naruto, mind if I ask you? It is a question I think we all had ever since we met you, just a little something to get to know you a bit better. Do you mind if I ask? I honestly didn't expect the once shy Hinata to be so forward, so I told you she could ask me anything. Naruto, what is it you wish to accomplish in your life? What is your goal for your life? I could only think of the suffering of people in the forgotten territories, the misery of orphans without a home, the discrimination that people endure, and the wars that my village has fought in, and the tears of the families of those whose family members died. If my life has a goal, a wish, it is for everyone to be happy, safe, and world peace. I know that it is impossible, but even so, it is one thing I wish for. I don't care how long we take, for I am Shinobi, one who endures. For some odd reason, they started to smile, some of them even blush. That is when Tamari got up, walked over to me, helped me stand up, and hugged me right in front of everyone. She gave me a kiss on the right side of my face, and looked at the other girls that were standing right behind her. I think I can come up with a nickname for Naruto. His nickname will be Asta. What do you think, girls? Hinata told her that first. They agree the nickname Asta fits him like a glove, but secondly, if she was going to kiss him, at least give the other girls present the chance to do the same. As Hinata said this, all the other girls near her began to nod in agreement, so one picnic became the day they all agreed my nickname that they would only know as Asta, and I got hugged and kissed by each one of them. The only question I have is why Asta? Why pick that name as my nickname? Tamari smiled, and she looked at me, and simply said because love is what motivates my actions. So the only word that could be used for my nickname would be a word that means love, boundless, and as brilliant as the stars in the sky, a star. You didn't think we noticed? You gave me this sword that I simply love, and I found a person who can keep up with me when I spar without having to hold back. 1010 smiled. You treated me as a person, and not as some glass princesses or tool. You noticed the stress I was having, and helped me spar, and cooked that delicious ramen for me to help with my stress. Hinata smiled at me. You got me and Ino here to look beyond petty ideas and goals and focus on our training because you worry about our safety. You motivate us and help us see past our anxiety, and we are better friends because of it. I actually never thought Ino would agree on anything Sakura ever said. You protected the privacy of my sisters and me when we were so exposed while bathing. You could have peeped like that pervert, but you respected me, my sister, and my mother, although I wouldn't have minded if you saw me. Tamari just said something that doesn't exactly make sense. She hates perverts, but she just flat out said she didn't mind if I saw her naked. You have done so many things out of love for all of us present. Asta is the only nickname that we could ever consider giving you, even if that stinking pervert is upon that tree hearing our very private conversation. If you don't want my sister Gara to send her sand to choke you to death while you sleep, you better come down here. We saved you some food, and it is getting cold. That is when Jiraiya just jumped down from that tree branch like it was nothing at all. Alright, I was just getting inspiration for a chapter of my next book, no harm, no foul. I was also wondering why this group of lovely ladies are having a picnic with my godson. So I was watching you all, I got curious. They each looked at each other, and put away their weapons. Boy, these girls go on the offensive rather quickly, don't they? I guess I should make a mental note, not to piss them off. You might be curious, but you would also upset Tsunade if she ever finds out about it. So how about instead of peeping you ask for consent instead? He laughed, as he ate a bite of his food, and looked at me, cause they would never give me any consent, and those that do, are women I rather be far away from. Naruto, you had a long way to go to even come close to understand how women think, as well as I do. Honestly, that is why I wrote the Icha Icha series to help men understand women, but no, they read them for other reasons. Tamari was not buying any of this by the look on her face. Then if you are an author, here is a tip, was your damn imagination, instead of violating us by shamelessly peeping when we are bathing. I swear should I ever see you peep at me, my sisters or my mother again, I will cut off your family jewels, and feed them to that toad you used to run away on. Well, that was a fun picnic. It was supposed to be a picnic between me and Hinata, and it turned out I got a nickname, and all the women present pretty much declared their feelings for me, right in front of me, and Jiraiya who was laughing like a hyena. Well, that was not what I had planned at all. I honestly thought that this would be a good time for me and Hinata to spend time together other than sparring. Well, I guess this probe's dad is right, the best laid plans can suddenly turn into unexpected ways. As I walked towards our living room I saw Mom, Naruto, beating that test dummy in the backyard, really hard for some odd reason, and when I got closer to where Mom was, 4 people I never met were having tea with her. Ah, good timing song, I hope you enjoyed your little picnic. I guess this explains why Naruto was beating the poor training dummy so hard. I guess I will have to repair that thing after I get some time to myself. A friend of your grandmother decided to visit us. This lady here is Aesir, the friend of your great-grandmother Mido, and 3 of her 4 children. I hear their youngest is not feeling well, I do hope she gets better. Aesir smiled at my mom. Nothing much to worry about. She got over that yesterday. She is standing right behind Naruto, trying to be sneaky, and catch him by surprise. As you know, my name is, your great-grandmother saved my life from a curse before my youngest was born, and these 4, yes young ladies, it does not fit a noble to sneak around like a thief. Come out here, and sit with your siblings. All 4 sat right next to each other by ages it seems. This is Nozel, my eldest, then we have Nebra, my eldest daughter, and next to her is her brother Solid, and finally, the girl who I, and your great-grandmother would very much like you to marry, is my precious little girl Noelle. That is one of the reasons why we came here. My other children would like to meet the person who could very well be their brother-in-law. When did Noelle go from sitting right next to her brother Solid, to sit right next to me hugging my arm like this? Well, he is quite a handsome mother. I still say Noelle is quite a bit too young to even be considered a bride. Say Naruto, you should marry me instead. You know you could have a lot more fun with me. That is when Noelle flat out hugged me tighter, and glared at her sister Nebra. You wish, he is mine, and I am not letting any of you steal him from me. If he is going to marry anyone in our family, it will be me, you better believe it. I just came from a picnic where a few friends of mine declared their love to me, and I thought I could not be more embarrassed than I already was. And now this, the youngest daughter of my great-grandmother's friend, pretty much was to the point of fighting her elder sister, and stake a claim on me. I was wrong, the picnic was not as embarrassing as I thought this is. So Naruto, how was your picnic with your friends? No problems, I hope. Other than the stinking pervert making comments about premarital sex, or how did he put it, try a sample before you buy. I honestly wanted to ask Tenten to lend me the biggest mace she had in her scroll, and turn Tsunade from a divorcee into a widow. Aside from spending time with Jiraiya who just happened to be in the park, and being more of a get-together with some of my classmates, it was a nice get-together. We discussed many things about what we could do to improve academically. We scheduled some sparring time between each of our little study group to improve our jujutsu. Sakura and Ino both asked me to help them with their chakra control exercises, so I plan to show them some of the low-level exercises dads taught me, and I am entertaining the notion of whether or not do the chakra paper test, so we know their elemental affinity, and maybe some low-level elemental manipulation training. Mom looked at me, and Aesir just was looking at me with this odd look on her face. All you talked about was either training to fight, or training what I come to call ninja magic, but not once did you mention relaxing or having fun. Playing with your friends. Or just play some sport or hobby. All I heard was training in one way or another. I honestly don't know where Aesir is going with this. I don't see any problems, training is fun. I happen to enjoy learning new things, and improving my skills if I have no classes or my classmates are busy. I spend hours learning things that others would consider outside of what a ninja should learn. For instance, I took lessons on forging weapons, armor, and tools. I took lessons on how to cook, and I am learning to knit, and sew in my spare time, so I am always curious about new things I could learn. Speaking of which, Mom, what did Aunt Tsunade say about me learning some medical techniques, and some emergency care tactics? I honestly want to learn how to heal using my chakra. Nozzle, Nebra, and Solid were looking at me like I grew another head. Noelle was simply drinking some tea and smiling whenever I look at her. And my children complained that I trained them too hard. And here we have Naruto not only being top of his class at the school, but training on things that most would consider boring on his initiative. I hope you three will stop complaining about how much I make you study after you heard how much Naruto trains. Nozzle simply told her that he would do better. Nebra and Solid simply nodded their heads. But who reads for fun? I think Solid is just asking for it when he says things like that. I simply looked at him and told I do. Noelle was simply smiling like they told her she would get twice as many presents, and her birthday was tomorrow. The minuter sister tried to move closer to me. Noelle pulled me closer, and she glared at Nebra. I told you already, sis. He is mine. Go find your own. I am going to be the one to marry him. Me. Not you, me. Well, isn't this lovely? I am being hugged by a girl I just met, and she is claiming ownership of me like I am a stray puppy, and her older sister apparently wants to join in on this circus act, because she is glaring daggers at her own little sister. Her two brothers are no help. They clearly are doing everything they can just to stop themselves from laughing their heads off. What could go wrong next? Naruto shows up, and she ends up fighting against Noelle. You know that old proverb, be careful what you wish for or you might get it. Well, I got it. The second Naruto came down from upstairs, she immediately tried her very best to separate me from Noelle, and they are now both arguing at the top of their lungs, which one of them actually owns me, honestly. When did I become the stray puppy here? Mom, how about a little help here? She just looked at me and smiled and flat out said that she simply was distracted with how cute the situation was, and Aesir was no help either, cute or otherwise. I have some questions for our guest. I mean, we hardly see magical knights in our village. I might not get another chance to ask. Aesir for once looked at me with a serious look and saw I was not kidding. Girls, you can go back to argue who is his girlfriend, but Naruto is right. If he has some questions for me, as a squad captain, I should answer them for him. So tell me, Naruto, what do you want to know? I honestly wanted first and foremost to know what the heck is a magical knight. Are they anything like ninja? And what is the difference? What is a squad? Is it like the ninja teams, or are they different? And is captain like a chunin or a jounin or even higher? She began to laugh and waited till I finished talking. Kushina, your son, was not kidding when he said he had a lot of questions, but didn't you find it adorable that he simply asked all these questions in such a way? Mom simply looked at her and smiled. He just thinks he doesn't have enough time to ask one at a time. But I do agree with you that Aesir was very cute. Too bad Tsunade didn't get to see it. A magic knight is a knight that can do magic, Naruto, not the same kind we can. Mana and chakra may seem like they are the same thing, but they are not. Mana is energy that comes from one's own spirit, and everything has a spirit including nature, and chakra comes from, as you know, mixing physical and mental energy within ourselves to form chakra. The reason that both magic knights and ninja exist, but because, well, you can be a ninja. No one without the ability to make chakra can be a ninja, and no one without the ability to make mana can become a magic knight. So unless you learn these energies, you cannot become one or the other. Aesir looked at her and nodded. As for the squads, they are groups of like-minded knights. They are groups that are led by a captain. I happen to be the captain of the Silver Eagles. When a person wants to become a magic knight, they go through an exam, and at the end of the exam, the squad captains decide whether or not a person is a magic knight by welcoming that person into a squad. The squad is very much like a family. A magic knight lives with his squad at the squad headquarters. Good deeds earn a person a star or more depending on the deed, and these stars increase the honor of that person's squad. Any deeds that are dishonorable will cause the person to lose stars and harm the squad he is a member of. So you see, being a member of a squad is very much like being a part of a family. I see that is what is different about Magic Knight squads and our ninja teams. The captain leads the squad, and therefore must be a real challenge since he represents the squad. Everything the members below the captain does, he is responsible for. So it is closer to jounin than simply chunin. I began to think hard on what she said, and there was something in me, something that made me ask a question I didn't even know I had. Can I be a Magic Knight? I honestly don't know why I asked that question. It just appeared in my head, no clue where it came from. I always thought that I would always be going to be a ninja, like my parents and their parents before them. No, Naruto, you cannot be a magic knight, just like I cannot be a ninja. Honestly, if you had as much magical energy as you have chakra, I would welcome you into the Silver Eagles without a second to think about it. I would train you myself, and I know my squad would be fortunate to have you. Like I said, Naruto, without magical energy you cannot be a magic knight, sorry. Somehow I don't think magical energy and chakra are as mutually exclusive as she and mother think. I somehow can see how the two can actually mix and complement each other if Kurama's chakra and mana can mix. So mixing it with my chakra shouldn't be a problem, and let's face it, mine is a joke compared to how strong her chakra is. Then mixing energy from outside of the environment and mixing it with the chakra inside me should not be impossible. These answers have given me something else to read about. Maybe someone else already tried it and wrote it down. I guess I need to ask Dad if he knows any scrolls or books written about this during my chakra control training. So Naruto, I am sort of curious about how strong you are. If you want anyone to blame, blame our mothers. They talked about your training schedule, and our mother was so impressed she will not stop singing your praises. Honestly, we know you are not a commoner, so the fact that you put in more effort than most shouldn't be that much of a shock, but I want to spar with you. I think Solid has other reasons why to do this. I don't know the reasons, but I can just feel it, and what exactly am I getting out of this spar? I don't mind, but you are the only one having fun here. Solid, we are just going to sit on the side watching you fight who could very well be your brother-in-law, so what do we get? Nozzle was, shall we say, more reward-oriented than even I imagined. Well, how about a bet then? Whoever loses owes the winner a favor, so how about it? Or the reason that you are staying in the side is that after hearing what he does for a warm-up routine, made you all a little scared. What is the matter of feeling chicken? Not only is there gambling of sorts illegal in Konoha, but now I am going to fight a spar against all of them. 4 sparring matches, 2 girls, and 2 boys, great, but you cannot use chakra in this fight. Wow, I mean wow, thanks to a lot of mom, you couldn't also have both of my hands tied behind my back too. We went towards our backyard, and they already made a sparring pit, so this was not improvise. They actually planned this out even before I got home. Hey, wait a minute here, mom said I couldn't use chakra, but she didn't say they couldn't use magic. Damn it, it really is one-sided. All I can sense is water, and some sort of metal from all 4 of them. She didn't say I couldn't use a weapon, so I might as well put my trusty training weapons to good use. I pulled stuff from one of the seals on my belt, a few swings to get the rust off, and we were good to go. Solid was the first one to jump at me with a short sword, predictable downward slash to distract him, and he sent some water to make me trip and fall. One jump over the water, and a twister strike with my staff. He was out for the count. His older brother didn't have a weapon. He made one out of what appears to be pure mercury. Damn it, that stuff is pure poison. I grabbed either end of the staff, and compressed it into a ball, and then with the ball I threw it against the hand that was holding the mercury lance. He dropped it, causing it to disappear, and I finished the fight with an upside-down side strike with my fist. After the fight was over I touched the slide on the ball, and the staff appeared again when it decompressed. Never was not one to wait, so she made a sword of pure silver. Is this art appreciation or a sparring match? Cause she made that thing ready to be mounted on a wall more than used in actual combat. 2 strikes from my staff, and she was screaming that I should take it easier on girls. Not going to work. I am an equal opportunity brawler. There is no need for discrimination, especially the one that is trying to use the excuse that women are weaker to get the upper hand. 3 quick strives, and she lost, sending her flying, till she was seated with her butt on the ground scowling. Ow, Naruto, thanks to you. Now I am going to get a bruise on my delicate skin. I told her not to make a big deal about it. Mom had cream for bumps, bruises, cuts, and even burns. The last match was against Noelle, who was really upset about something. She didn't even wait for the match to start when she sent 3 giant snake-shaped torrents of water. You gotta be kidding me, she sent 3 water dragon jutsu at me. I can't use chakra, but that doesn't mean I can't use static, does it? One quick twirl from my trusty expandable staff, and sure enough I was feeling the static energy build up, and the twirling needed to be done to block off the advance of the 3 water dragons, and when I knew the staff could hold no more, I sent it through each of the water dragons, and they all burst into steam. I used the static to heat up my staff, and one strike it was hot enough to make the water dragons made by her magic burst into steam. Well, that was refreshing, so you owe me a favor each, don't worry. I will just hold you to that later. I might need someone to babysit one day. It will be good to know I got 4 people here that can help me, should I ever need it. Solid looked at his siblings. Damn it, I was sure I would win. We have been training since we learned to walk. Never looked at her brother. Don't complain, Solid. We all heard stories of how much he trains. It is our fault for not believing it was true. Besides, you just got hit once. I am the one that will wake up with a bruise on my face. Actually, I didn't strike her on her face. That was her own fist after I defeated her. But I did tell her mom does have that cream for bumps, bruises, cuts, and burns. Well, Kushina, you were not kidding that Naruto was spending most of his free time training. Too bad that he doesn't have any magic, after seeing him defeat all my kids. Now I wish I could have him be a part of my squad. Just think of the stars my squad would get if he was. As time went by, and I began to get into higher, and more difficult topics, I guess I sort of lost track of time. My relationships with Hinata, Tenten, Sakura, and Ino have been really beneficial for all of us, and even my sister Naruto has been closer than ever before. She flat out understands that being in a serious relationship has to wait till we are mentally ready for it. Not happy at first, but agreed to that in the end. Sasuke and Kiba are always asking me to spar train with me. The other girls around me pretty much have the idea understood, and when they ask they clearly say if you want to train or spar with him, you had better earn it. Nothing in this world will be given to you simply because you ask. I also began to take classes on healing techniques and methods, now that Tsunade has pretty much become our health class teacher. The only thing is her daughters are now asking me to help tutor members of our class, who are having trouble understanding the class material their mother taught us. So not only do I have to understand the material for myself, but actually study it in depth, so that I can explain it to the 3 or 4 classmates, that they simply don't understand how something that is used to hurt people, meaning our chakra, can also be used to heal people. Mina and Emma. I swear those two confuse me with dad sometimes, and while mom thinks it is adorable, I can't help but feel sorry for dad sometimes. He is so busy being Hokage that most people don't really understand how hard that job is. People think he just sits behind his desk and orders people to do things, and he can relax all day after he gives a few orders. It has been 6 years since last I saw Aesir and her kids. Deep down I understand what those stars are. I mean, even our teacher in the junior level of the academy gave us stars for excellent performance or achievements, but I can't help but to feel some might use these awards as a means to lord it over someone or brag about how great they are. That would kill morals so fast it is not even funny. Now I am in the academy high, and wouldn't you know it, I had the same teachers for every year since my junior academy days. Mizuki still teaches practical skills, Iruka teaches history, and Tsunade still teaches about health and physical wellness. Mostly also teach a class on things only Kunoichi need to learn, but since I am a guy I can only guess what that class subject is about. In the Academy High, however, we have other classes. We have Hector Uchiha who teaches ninjutsu, torture, and interrogation methodology, and of course demonology. I thought he was joking, but no, he actually teaches how demons think, their powers, to understand, and to be able to confront demons, actual demons. Hiro Uzumaki teaches the history and theory of the sealing arts, making seals, tags, and other tools, and of course gym, which he teaches how to better exercise to make getting stronger more efficient. Mizuki and Professor Hiro Uzumaki got into a few arguments about how they were pretty much teaching the same subject. Iruka thought that the more history they managed to get us to learn the better. A couple of fights between Mizuki and Hiro did happen, but Hiro ended up using those fights to showcase how to use seals in combat. All in all, I am loving my new subjects considering another Uzumaki is teaching the class. I guess mom was not kidding when she said that seal arts were practically in our blood. Hiro mentioned a few times that he considered the loss of the village hidden in the whirlpools a major tragedy. He said that the knowledge lost in the seal arts was a major loss for the world. I asked Hector one day, as he was eating dinner, what he thought of it. He simply told me that his friend was right, but the loss was much more significant, other than just in the art of making seals. Those seals were also used in many training exercises to train ninjutsu, and some were seals to contain or prevent demons from having people. He said there was even a seal to extract a soul from someone that had been possessed against his will. I wonder if deep down one of those seals could allow Kurama to be able to exist outside of my body. I sometimes feel sorry for her always being inside me, and missing out on what is out in the world, like eating a good meal or making friends. That is sweet of you, Naruto, but let's face it, I could never be happier than being near you, my one and only mate. Well, I got to say I simply never understood why every time I stepped into the classroom of Hiro Uzumaki, I immediately felt like weights had been strapped to every part of my body. I still remember that the first month that I entered his classroom, I felt like I was being tortured, every muscle hurt, I could barely walk out of the classroom, and that was only a 30-minute class. While the pain has reduced over the years I have been in the high level of the academy, I feel as if the weight increases each day. It barely gives my body enough time to adjust, but I have gotten used to it, enough that we can study or exercise. Sometimes I also feel like I spent years studying with Professor Hiro, even though the clock on the hallway indicates that the class was only 30 minutes long. Today in class you will learn why you feel different every time you step into my classroom. At last, I was going to have this answered. I hope that it doesn't cause any trouble. As you may know, the Uzumaki clan is a clan that masters seal arts, and, as such, you and your fellow classmates have been under the effect of 3 of my seals. Every single time you enter, it activates when the first person enters, and deactivates all 3 seals when the last person leaves the classroom. These 3 seals create the ideal training room. First, you have the gravity seal that increases the effects of gravity on anything inside the room. That is why you felt heavier. He walked over to another part of the room. Heavier weight also can create higher wear and tear. As such, this seal increases the resistance of anything inside the room. This causes every single one of you to be able to become stronger without causing harm to your body. And that is why I taught you how to strengthen your muscles by using chakra. These 2 seals force you to be able to carry heavier weights, withstand damage, to be able to be stronger faster, and have more defense, and more agile, and be more flexible, and have quicker reflexes. And because you use chakra to be able to move also increased your chakra reserves, and combined with a healthy diet, as well as proper mental learning, will increase one's chakra even more. I can modify the level of intensity of both, and have increased it a single level per week, since I began to teach this class. The last seal is on the ceiling. It is a time seal, which in fact makes 1 day, and causes that 1 hour into 1 day. You do not age any differently, thanks to the time seal, but every hour trained here it is, as if you trained or studied for a year. He stood at the entrance, and looked at us. We must look pretty goofy with the expression we were making, and these 3 seals make my training chamber, where time and gravity are distorted by my hyperbolic time chamber. As I said, I am a seal arts master, and today you will all learn to make these 3 seals. We will start with the resistance seal, then the gravity seal, but lastly the time seal, since it is much more detailed and difficult than the other 2. He explained to us that the process of making each seal required us to learn the basics of making a seal to the point of perfection. The lessons were long, and it seemed like we spent months in that classroom, but everything I learned only served to fuel my desire to learn more. In one class I learned more about the seal arts than most do in a year. I began to think about the 3 seals I saw, and began to think of ways to modify them to use them for other things than the way my teacher showed me. I began to think that maybe if I integrated the resistance seal on a shadow clone, I could make the shadow clone more resistant. A more resistant shadow clone would mean I can use my shadow clones to train harder, and in things that usually cause the shadow clone to disperse, and share with me the memories of what happened. Professor Hector is often insulted by being called a demon lover, and after the field trip through torture and interrogation, I asked him if I could meet his wife and family. It was often a bit of a mystery. Hector often said that he was happily married, and had 2 daughters, but for some odd reason, there was nobody in the village that could tell me anything about his wife or daughters. And Mitarashi flat out told me that he was still single, and Hector was pretending to be married so people would stop and try to get him engaged to someone, or according to her own personal experience, she flat out said the stupid jerk is just playing hard to get. I guess the rumors of him turning her down time after time did actually happen. I didn't want to be rude and contradict her, but the fact is I visited Professor Chaha's home more than once actually. I had a few lovely days of me playing with his 2 daughters Jasmine and Melody. Still can't believe Kim is actually the mother of 2 girls. She sure doesn't look like it. I went to Hector's office and decided to tell him what Anko told me. As soon as I told him, he began to laugh as I told him the greatest joke he ever heard, Naruto. You wanted to ask someone if I was single to see if everyone knows about Kim and the girls. And you asked Anko the snake mistress. Oh come on Naruto, you know that I am married. For pity's sake, you had dinner with us not that long ago. I looked at him and began to realize something. It is just that for some odd reason she seems a little upset about my question, so I decided to give you a fair warning. You might wake up with a python giving you a not so friendly hug. I saw him smile, and looked at me with such a calm looking face. I wouldn't worry about it Naruto, you will one day understand. Anko and I used to date back in our academy days, that is all. Then I met Kim, and we got married. I mean, don't tell me you never heard people call me a demon lover. I had to nod because I did hear plenty of people calling him that. I thought it was because of the subject he teaches. Hector grabbed a piece of chalk and walked towards the nearest blackboard. A small reminder then, demons do not age, as humans do. They have a lifespan that can last thousands of years if not longer, and some are for all intents and purposes immortal. Some might even have the ability to shapeshift, and thus cause their entire bodies to regenerate by doing do. One of the species that can do that is the succubi. He brought a picture of his family and handed it to me. My wife Kim and my 2 daughters are succubus. The child of a succubus will always be a demon, and more than likely it will be a succubus. Much like incubus have children, then very likely will be incubus like their father. I never consider it an insult to be called a demon lover, because it is true, my wife is, in fact, a demon. You know how much I love my wife and daughters, but not all demons are peaceful like my wife. Daughters are Hero, and his wife and daughters. Yes, Hero's wife Yumi is also a succubus, and so are his daughters that were born from her. Dating Kim, I realized that there could be demons that could be a danger to our village, and our ninja, so that is why I began to teach demonology, for people to understand, and be able to deal with demons that were not as kind as Kim or Yum. Many people call me demon lover, thinking I will be offended, but why? It's the truth. I even learned most of the things I teach by going to the infernal planes. I nearly fell out of my seat when he said, "You mean to tell me you've been to hell?" Hector simply laughed. Oh, Naruto, compared to some of the things I dealt with as an Anbu, trust me Naruto, hell is not such a horrible place as people make it. There are worse places than hell. What I meant to say is this, when I talk about demons Naruto is because I know them. I know the subject enough to be able to teach, so why would I be offended by being called a person who loves the subject he teaches? It would be like I wanted to insult Aruka and scream at him. Hey Aruka, you history lover, how are you doing today? And just as he screamed outside of his office window, Aruka was heard screaming that he was doing great, and thank you for asking. He looked at me, and smiled. See, nothing insulting at all. Naruto, you might not believe this, but teachers in the academy do love their subjects. It is this love of the subject they teach that drive them to be better, and learn more on the subject. That is why they remain current with all the information on their subjects. And that is why the students should know that what we teach them is not simply ancient knowledge, but very much relevant to the present. History can, and has been amended. New discoveries change things in our understanding of it. My wife is a succubus, and so are my 2 daughters, but not once was she ever a threat to anyone. Naruto, one thing I teach is that demons are very much people, and like people, there are good ones, and there are bad ones, and what I teach will keep you and your fellow students safe, and know how to defend yourself against the bad ones. But the challenge, like in most things in life, is how can you tell which is which? Who is good or who is bad? I began to see his subject under a completely different light. While most people ridicule, he is actually doing something to teach us how to survive encounters with beings with powers we ninja can barely fathom. By their actions, by never letting our guard down, and always being aware of our surroundings. An evil person may pretend to be good, but never for long. Their true nature will come out when they least expect it. Is that right, Professor? I smiled, and nodded my head. Indeed, Naruto, good answer. So don't worry, I was hated long before I even married Kim, and that is nothing new to me. I am an Uchiha, born from the line of my grandfather Madara. If you ever want to see my grandfather, there is an actually pretty good statue of him at a place called the Valley of the End. My clan knows about being disliked, we know of being treated badly, and we know that most people think my grandfather was a traitor when in reality the village betrayed him first, since the second Hokage was supposed to be an Uchiha. Just like I said in Naruto, there are good and bad people everywhere. The challenge is to tell which is which. I left his office, and began to think about things. How much prejudice is there in our peaceful little village? How many people pretend to be kind, and deep down, they actually harbor hate and resentment? How can a person pretend to be one thing, but be another altogether? Every time Hector Uchiha talks to me, he leaves me with his questions, and I find them to somehow broaden my understanding of the world around me. I decided to enter my mind, and speak with Kurama. Once I made it to my favorite chair in the living room, got comfortable, and closed my eyes, and my mind went to visitor. That Hector sure likes to drop his truth in rather spectacular ways, doesn't he? But you know he is right. Many of my kind are trapped inside people, jailed against their will, treated as nothing more than weapons, like my sister inside that daughter of the Kazakage. But you know I am not trapped here. The seal has been unlocked for years, so you don't even have a seal to keep me inside. I am here willingly, now smiling at Naruto. No vixen likes to see her mate frown like that. I don't know what it is about Kurama, but she always makes me laugh. I honestly don't know. We began to continue her lessons on manipulating the elements. We concentrate heavily on fire since it is her favorite, but the control exercises seem to be getting tougher and more difficult as the lessons continue. I am not going to argue or complain. I know she is doing this all out of the kindness of her heart. She is under no obligation to teach me anything at all. Kurama, you know I've been having a really hard time doing this controlled exercise. I mean, I am supposed to control the flame and change the color of the flame, but I can barely hold it. Fire, much like any other element, is influenced by your emotions. Naruto, to change the color of a flame, means the flame has increased in temperature, so by intensifying your emotions, you should be able to increase how hot that flame burns. I just don't get it. I am holding his ball of fire, but it is still light orange, and nothing I try seems to work. The longer I tried, the more frustrated I got, and more angry with myself I became. That is when I noticed that the ball of flames was deep red, and so I focused my intentions, my thoughts, my feelings, as if I was thinking of something I wanted to destroy, and that is when the flame became blue. See, nothing to it. By controlling your emotions, your feelings, you can make this flame hotter, or you could make the earth harder, or wind blow more ferociously, or a small river become a downdraft that can even sink an entire home. Well, I don't honestly know which is weird, that I am actually grateful that Kurama is so comfortable with me, that she is teaching elemental control, while wearing practically nothing at all, or that I got so used to seeing Kurama almost bare buck naked to the point that it doesn't even bother me anymore. If this is all happening inside my own mind, why am I thinking that she is subtly sending me a message that she wants to screw like a pair of foxes in heat? Well, my dates have not gotten boring, that is a plus, and now I got a pack of young women fighting each other, to be the next one to go on a date with me. And let me tell you, Hinata's punch is not what I call gentle by any definition of the word. She really is not pulling back on her attacks, or the fact that two of the girls she fought had to be carried on a stretcher to Academy Clinic. Hey Hannah, do you need something? Something on my face? Or did I do something to royally piss off Kiba and ruin your family's breakfast yet again? If you need something, I will be happy to help. I don't think I got something stuck to my face that I didn't see when I was brushing my teeth. And sorry, I didn't mean to cause that when I said that Kiba actually looked like a boy when he was back when we were 8. She didn't say anything, she just looked at me, and without even a word of warning, pulled me close, and flat out kissed me on my lips. Did she have strawberries in her cereal? And am I tasting this because she has her tongue in my mouth? If you want to help me with something, come by my clinic, since none of your girlfriends had the guts to say it. Yes, Naruto, I am telling you, I want to sleep with you. She took off, and I am left wondering if she does know I am not even of age. Yet she was blunt enough to say she wants me to screw the ever-living daylights out of her. Then again, she is an Inuzuka, so her being blunt is not exactly rare. Why do all these women want to sleep with me? I mean, I am not exactly that different from any other guy in the academy. Oh, don't tell me it is because I am the honorable son of the 4th Hokage. No, I don't think that matters much, since I never once abused the fact that I am the son of the 4th Hokage to my advantage, or ever would. Hey, Kurama, any clue why all these girls and women want to sleep with me? She didn't say one word. Guess she is ticked off that Hannah just propositioned me, or she pretty much kissed me. I will say it in one word, pheromones. You are attracting all these women because your body is sending them signals that you want to mate, and yes, those pheromones everyone has, but yours are about 27 times more powerful because I am inside you. And yes, for crying out loud, I want to mate too, but at least I am decent, and waiting till you are old enough to be of age, unlike that bitch that just kissed you. Yes, she is officially pissed that Hannah kissed me like that, and that she pretty much went to visit her vet clinic, just to screw each other blind. I might as well go visit Tsunade cause I am sure as hell not going to ask this question to my mom. As I walked into the hospital I saw Tsunade writing something on her clipboard. You seem a little busy, Tsunade. Guess I will come back later to ask you about this thing that has been bothering me. She dropped her clipboard, grabbed me, and took off to a nearby consultation room. What is it? You are not feeling sick. You don't seem like you are showing any signs of illness. When does she use that medical technique to check if I wasn't sick? Am I this thin that she carried me into this examination room on the other side of the floor where she had been? Nothing physical, it is just that I was made aware of a certain odor my body is producing, and I thought I should ask a medical professional if my body is mature enough for sexual intercourse, and no, I didn't want to ask my mom. She began to laugh. Naruto, you had me worried for a second there. Are you old enough to shag? Well, at least you know now these very strong pheromones your body is emitting. Naruto, when people say you are not of age, it means basically you have not graduated the academy. But physically, yes, your body has grown to the point that sex is possible, hence the pheromones. Most ninjas are considered adults when they gain the rank of genin, which is why you can work, and yes, people that are genin can indeed get married, but it is not advisable, since the payment for a D-rank mission, which is what usually starting genin do, is not enough to provide for a married couple. Alright, this is all very educational, but why is she stripping while telling me all this? I am guessing I is her bra size, but she sure got out of her clothes, and wearing nothing but her birthday suit in a hurry. Now that you've been taught the theory, how about you stop keeping me waiting, and let's get to the practical side of this particularly long-awaited lesson. Do I have to be as blunt as an Onizuka? Naruto, strip and fuck me. Well, an hour and a half later, I had no idea that women had that many erogenous zones, and that I could make love in that many positions, pressed against a wall, on a chair, on an exam table, hanging from the ceiling fixtures, over and over and over again. I guess she's showing me that she actually took birth control, made all the difference. I gave her a kiss, and she simply said thank you, and I think I heard her say she couldn't stand straight. Well, I got a very detailed lecture of the legal ramifications of being of age, the development of the male body, pheromones, and when they begin to be produced, and yes, an extremely enjoyable workout. I swear, as I walked outside of the hospital, I saw Jiraiya laughing like an absolute maniac, as he jumped from a wall to a nearby roof. If I didn't know any better, I would say that what I did with Tsunade is going to appear in his next book. I better keep this private, and not tell anyone, cause let's face it, that will not pleasantly end in any way. So son, mind telling me why did you go to the hospital? I saw you walk into the place while I was buying groceries, and for some odd reason Jiraiya was very focused about watching what was happening in one of the back examination rooms. I could lie, and just say to my mom that I had some medical questions for Tsunade, stuff I was curious about, but this is my mother, so there is no way in hell I could ever lie to her. I wanted to learn more about these pheromones, and when I would be old enough to actually have sexual relations, I didn't want to embarrass you or make you feel uncomfortable. Then again, Tsunade is the best medical ninja in any of the villages, so who better to ask? She finally put down her skillet, and simply laughed. No reason to be embarrassed, Naruto. It is only natural that young men would be interested in that. I am kind of surprised that it took you this long to notice the fun of being with the opposite sex, so I sort of feel relieved more than embarrassed. So she did the whole thing when you are considered of age, and the birds, and the bees lecture, anything else? I looked at her, and said well there was a practical lesson too, so Tsunade finally got to sleep with you. I hope she doesn't tell her daughters, cause I know those three will be pissed if they find their mother got to be your first time doing that with a woman. So for how long did you two screw around for? You know all the girls and their mothers had a tournament, and she did win, so she got the first shot at being with you. So for how long did you two fuck? I honestly didn't want to tell her this, but since she was being that direct I had no reason to hide it. I told her just for an hour and a half. That is when she flat out looked at me with this utter look of shock, and almost envy by the looks of it. Why envy? And they say Tsunade has horrible luck. I call that being extremely lucky. The end. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic. Link is in the description. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.